Chapter 201. I hear the confident voice of a woman fill my ears as Leo disappears through the front entrance of the wooden cabin. My other teammates are a few steps ahead of me, so they enter and I follow soon after. Taking one last look over my shoulder, making a mental note of the open desert and lonely deserted town, I walk through the tavern's front door. A bit of dust has kicked up from the 5 of us walking through, but it settles as I shut the heavy wooden frame behind me. The sight inside is about what I expected. There's a few rectangular tables that line the walls and a long wooden bar at the back of the room. Stone walls and visible support beams jut out, making the room feel much cozier and well-built than it seemed from the outside. To my right, about 5 meters away, there's another smaller bar, but with no drinks or food. Mana crystals and potions line the shelves like a mini-mart, and an old man sits behind it with a kind smile. It seems a bit out of place at first, but still not too surprising. Hunters come through every town. It'd be a waste not to serve our needs. The sight that catches my eye next is the woman named Charlotte. This is the person that greeted the silver-haired artificer as he walked through the door. She's also almost exactly what I expected after hearing her voice. A slightly heavy-set, red-haired woman greets us with a wide white smile. Her voice is much deeper than Maria's or Abby's, but still has a unique feminine charm to it. Her laugh rings out through the room, making this woman the center of attention. "Welcome, welcome. You're the new hunters they were telling me about, aren't ya? Come on, take a seat." Still analyzing the scene, I walk forward. The 5 of us pass a few lone old men sitting at various tables with drinks and empty plates. If I had to guess, they've been here all night. Some stare, others keep their heads down. But none say a word as we make our way over to the smiling woman with rosy red cheeks. She turns around and starts gripping wooden mugs, filling them up with a golden brown liquid from a barrel behind the counter. "Welcome to the wall," or as the association calls it, the gate. We're one of the only ways into Section 4. The genuine smile across Leo's face grows as he watches the woman work. Eventually, he motions for us to sit down at one of the nearby tables up close to the bar area. As soon as we sit down, Charlotte comes walking over with handfuls of drinks. Every time she gets near, all my worries seem to fade away. All I want to do is smile back. I hear Ari make a comment from my left side. "Now this is how you treat guests. Draft beers with the rising sun. We should start all our mission like this." The loose braided hair of our red-headed waitress bobs behind her as she sets our drinks down on the table. Leo speaks up the moment she does. The usual, a plate for all 5 of us. These 4 have a mission on the other side of the wall today. They need to be ready. She smirks, pushing a drink to each of us and letting her gaze wander up and down until her green eyes meet mine. You're the one Brutus told me to keep an eye on. No trouble until you leave. Got it?" Leo shrugs while Maria and Abby giggle. I throw my hands in the air but graciously take the drink she pushes towards me while rolling my eye and responding. "Great to meet you too. I'm Jay." She gives me a firm nod, matching my smile, then begins to turn around. "I read up on each of you before you arrived, so save the intros. I know you better than you know yourselves." Leo smirks and whispers to us in a hinged tone. She's probably right. Charlotte is very perceptive. I squint, activating my inspect and appraisal skills as she walks behind the cluttered bar, yelling something through a door to what seems to be a small backroom kitchen. LV. 243. Active items. Enchanted earrings plus 55% mental strength. Active skills. Inspect, special grade. Charm, special grade. I let out a light sigh under my breath, relieved that she doesn't have any perception skills that are able to pick out any details I'm not looking to share. This is the second person I've met with a special grade inspect skill. Unfortunately, the first gave his up to me in the heat of battle back in my hometown. I know how it works because I have it. She can see all of our levels, that's about it. Charm, on the other hand, I've never heard of a skill like this. I can only imagine what it does. I deactivate my skills but continue to hold my tight gaze. Abby interrupts my concentration, posing a question to Leo. So, now that we've been blindly dragged halfway across the country, could you explain a bit about our mission? Gates? Sections? Why these dungeons are all breaking? I need some answers here. Ari tips the back of his mug to the ceiling as he finishes his drink in a single gulp. The archer places the mug back on the table firmly, grinning, and crossing his arms without saying a word. Maria turns to the silver-haired man wide-eyed, ready to hear what he has to say. I do the same, but still keep an eye on the redhead leaning up against the door of the back room. Leo nods and replies, "Understandable. I think we can get into the details now." He leans forward, placing both hands on the wooden table with a light thud. Our drinks slosh and the room goes silent. The wall outside stretches across the entire dark continent. It was built after the Great War just 50 years ago. The association refers to the land inside this first wall as Gate 1. I bring my mug of cool liquid to my lips, chugging some, but immediately feel my passive poison resistance skill activate, nullifying its effects. Leo goes on. As you've probably inferred, the fact that the gate is labeled with a number means there are more inner gates. Our mission today has nothing to do with them. To make it easier on all of you, let's say the Dark Continent is a perfect circle. Clearly, it's not. It's more of a jagged sideways egg shape, but a circle will be good for a visual. My mind begins to wonder, piecing together all the information that's been given so far as the silver-haired artificer goes on. So, a circle. With the inner walls of Gate 2 cutting out the center, we're left with a donut-shaped landmass. It's cut into 4 sections pretty evenly, leaving us with 4 curved sections. We're on the lower east side of the continent. Section 4. The 4 of us at the table nod, thinking to ourselves as this all becomes a bit more clear. Then, Ari speaks up. What about the towns inside? I know the association doesn't care one bit to supply them with resources to survive, but I clearly remember back in our meeting we were told to protect them at all costs. You have anything to say about that? Leo tightens his lips and nods. They're human beings. Of course, we'll protect them. The government's allocation of resources is not my field of expertise, I just work here. I'm not exactly sure what you want me to say about this. A lot of the Dark Continent towns and cities were founded by rogues and runways after the war. Even though the new generations may be innocent people, they still don't have a right to citizenship in our nation. They'd have to go through immigration just like any foreigner would. Ari lets out a light scoff, rolling his eyes, then shrugging it off. He raises his mug and makes eye contact with Charlotte in the back of the room. She shouts back, "Another round coming up? Your meals are almost ready too." Ari turns back to Leo. "I was just curious on your position. No hard feelings." Leo nods. "None taken." He looks over to Abby. "I believe you have the map that shows the rough positioning of each break. Also, you all know how to clear a dungeon, right? I assume you've done it before if you've gotten this far." Abby replies, "Yeah, all we have to do is take out the mutant boss and the dungeon will collapse. Even the monsters that escaped from the break will disappear from the surrounding area." Leo nods. "Perfect after we eat and get your housing situated. I'll let Charlotte lead you to the gate so you can begin your mission." I grin excitedly. It's been ages since I got to witness a break firsthand. There's always much better loot from mutant drops, and even unique skills sometimes. This is going to be a fun mission. I hear the red-headed bartender come skipping over with 2 massive circular trays of steaming hot breakfast foods along with juices and water. Dig in. You all have a long day ahead of you. Chapter 202. Charlotte. The orange-haired bartender comes over to us with a bright smile across her face and 2 steaming hot circular trays of food. Pitchers of juices and ice-cold water slosh around, making my mouth water at the sight of them. Dig in. You all have a long day ahead of you. We do as she says. After 30 minutes of a satisfying feast, the 5 of us sit back and enjoy the peace and quiet of a near-empty tavern in the middle of the open desert on a full stomach of good food. Charlotte watches from the back of the bar, keeping an eye on the door and other lingering guests. I'm too curious to wait any longer. I look over to her and our eyes meet as I speak up. Hey, great meal. I appreciate the hostility, but could I ask, what do you do for the association exactly? I'm just new around here. I didn't even know these walls existed yesterday. She replies in an excited tone as she makes her way over. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you must know, I'm the Gate 1, Section 4 lookout. There aren't many towns around here, so if anyone's looking to catch a ride on the train out, they'll have to stop by this town. I have a pretty good eye for troublemakers, and can get people to talk if I need them to. My gaze tightens. You can make people talk? Leo interrupts. Char's the best the association's got. If you need questions answered, she'll get M for ya. The orange-haired bartender turns to Leo, tightening her lips and letting high a half-nervous laugh before responding and hitting Leo on the shoulder with a playful slap. Hey, you know, I like to keep that a secret before I get to know new guests. He rolls his eyes. Yeah. These four aren't your average hunters, though. Try it out. Let's see if your smooth talk can do anything to this bunch. She looks back over to me. Instantly, I feel that soothing sensation I experienced when I first walked in. The first time around it was nice, but now I know something's up. My battle instincts kick in and I activate my all-seeing eye. Something doesn't feel right. The woman begins walking over to me and speaks in a slower, rhythmic tone. Sure, Leo, I'll give it a shot, but it's always more fun when they aren't suspicious. As my perception skill activates, I begin to see a light orange-colored mist surrounding her body. It spreads out and engulfs our entire table the second she gets close. I don't feel threatened. Quite the opposite, actually. The closer and closer she gets, the more I don't mind this odd invisible mist. My smile matches hers and my all-seeing eye deactivates once she puts her arm around my shoulder. So, tell me something about yourself, Jay. Something I wouldn't know. In a daze, I begin to speak. Something you wouldn't know? Well, there's Dash. I pause as I feel MP being drained from me. I tighten my jaw and lurch back, realizing exactly what's going on. My poison resistance passive skill has kicked in, and it's nullifying the effects of something. Everything clicks as I dart my eyes back and forth to see my teammates blissfully unaware of what's going on. Charlotte's eyes meet mine, sharper than before. I reactivate my all-seeing eye to watch the light orange mana-imbued fig retract back into her body. She takes her arm away from my shoulder and lets out a laugh. Well, I guess that answered my question, doesn't it? You are a unique bunch, aren't you? They wouldn't choose you all as the next elites at such a young age without good reason, I guess. Leo smirks, and my teammates don't seem to realize what happened at all. I keep my eyes locked on her. She speaks up again. I won't use that ability on you or your teammates, I promise. Sorry for the intrusion. I thought it'd be fun. I turn to the silver-haired artificer and he shrugs. I knew you'd resist her charms. Well, I had a feeling, at least, just wanted to see if you could. He laughs. I swallow hard, then reply with a long sigh, sitting back in my chair. They're just trying to have some fun. I guess I shouldn't overreact too much, but I have too much at stake to be goofing around like this. This was a good wake-up call. Although this little train ride and team reunion has been nice, once we make it over that wall, our time for leisure will be over. There will be monsters trying to kill us at every turn. It's time to get serious. Ari speaks up. All right, I'm just going to ignore whatever that was. Let's stop wasting time. I want to get over that wall. Maria chimes in. Me too. I want to test out my new skills on some real danger. Charlotte smiles, and I hear a train whistle blow in the background. She turns to Leo. That's your cue. There isn't another train for a few hours. You either take that one out of here or you're stranded in the bar with these fellas. She points at the near-lifeless drunks, scattered throughout the desolate bar. Leo gets up from his seat at that comment and begins walking to the door. Well, on that note, I better be off. Char, be nice to them. You four, good luck. Bring me back some good loot. He smirks and kicks open the tavern door to catch the incoming train. We're all left in silence. The bartender continues. So, you all want to take a look at the other side of the wall? I can take you there now. I stare at the swinging door as Leo walks away towards the train. Abby's voice snaps me out of it. Yeah, let's take a look. I've been itching to see what's on the other side since we got here. Char replies, perfect. Follow me, we're going for a short walk. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes to get to the first viable entrance point. She yells out to the older man running the small mini-mart at the front entrance of the tavern. Hey Dan, take care of the place. I'm taking the hunters out for a walk. He gives her a firm nod but doesn't say a word. Charlotte begins walking at a brisk pace toward the front door. Let go, no time to waste, one of the breaks is nearby. Maybe you'll all be able to take that one out by lunchtime. I turn to all my teammate with a grin on my face. It seems like our monster hunting has about to begin. We all get up from the table and follow the red-headed woman out the front door. She takes a sharp left turn, following a small sandy dirt road away from town. Her steps are quick and nimble, much more agile and coordinated than she first lead on. No more than 3 minutes pass and we're already hundreds of meters away from the small settlement of wooden buildings. She calls out, almost there, don't you worry. I wipe sweat from my forehead and follow. Maria skips along by my side as Abby stares up at the high wall to our left side. Ari follows behind with his arms crossed. We're walking closer to the massive wall, but also making out way parallel to it. I don't see a gate or entrance in sight. All I can see for kilometers is an impossibly high stone wall. Something has been off ever since we left the small city. I can feel small vibrations in the air. I activate my all-seeing eye. The moment my skill activates, it all begins to make a bit more sense. The wall is mana imbued, just slightly, not nearly enough to fully pick up without my precision skill, but clear as day with it activated. I whisper under my breath as my eyes follow the towering mana-shielded wall all the way to the horizon. How odd! Shielding like this would cost a fortune, and this wall was made 50 years ago. I ponder the thought for a few minutes but give up on trying to figure it out once Charlotte's voice rings out from in front of us. Here we are, the entrance to Gate 1, Section 4. We all come to a halt. The desert air is dry, there's hardly a plant in sight, and the hot sun is beating down on the back of my neck is already burning my skin. I blink, staring blankly at rungs of thin dark metal that create a ladder jutting off from the side of the wall all the way up to the top. The corners of my mouth begin to curl and I let out a laugh followed by the chuckles of my teammates. This is the entrance. To the wall. Ha! The orange-haired woman jumps up to grab one of the rungs and begins to climb quickly and gracefully. The real Section 4 entrance hasn't been touched in decades. This is one of the only non-shielded portions of the wall that we can climb. Other than here, you'd be fried to ash the moment you got close. Come on. No more questions, follow me. I smirk, then jump up to grab one of the metal rungs. The moment my hand touches it, my skin feels like it's being seared on a hot pan. I let go and curse under my breath, regenerating my hand behind my back. Char calls out again. Oh yeah, and be careful. The bars are hot. I activate my body-hardening crystals to cover my palms. This makes holding the rungs a lot easier. I follow the redhead upwards. Maria activates her ice magic to do that same and follows behind me. Abby similarly covers her hands with a layer of stone. Ari grabs a pair of work gloves from his item storage. I should have thought of that. It's a long climb upwards. Even at our fast pace, it still takes a few minutes to get to the top. I'm sweating and breathing heavily by the time we do. The 5 of us look over the edge, and I can't believe the sight before my eyes. Charlotte was right, the first dungeon break is nearby. It's right below us, in fact. Our mission in the Dark Continent has finally begun. Chapter 203. I peer down into the desolate landscape behind the stone wall that blocks the Dark Continent from the rest of the world. There are rolling hills or sand and jagged pillars of rock that stick out in seemingly random formations. Abandoned dirt roads lead off in all directions and the hint of civilization still lingers. Barely. I can feel the slight buzzing vibrations of a strong mana shield not too far away both on my left and right sides. What Charlotte said about the wall earlier makes sense to keep monsters inside these walls. A very strong barrier needs to be built in place. I just don't understand how exactly this massive structure was made. That'll be a question for another time, I guess. Looking out into the desert before me, I see multiple plumes of smoke way off in the distance, and approaching are smaller clouds of dust and sand. Their movements are definitely not human. The amount of material being stirred up is way too large. They must be monsters. I whisper under my breath. There's at least half a dozen monsters coming our way right now. I smirk, looking down at the light golden-brown dust clouds and swirling sand below. Activating my inspect and appraisal skills, I scope out the targets approaching right away. They're under 200 meters from us and incoming fast. LV 395. LV 395. LV 395. LV 395. LV 395. LV 395. Active items. Enchanted Sand Golem's Core plus 88% mental strength. Active skills. Combat magic. Earth summoning. The closer I look, the clearer those 6 clouds of dust flying up into the air distinctively become. I smile, looking over at my teammates. I see their excited looks as well. Golems. I've never fought one of these before. Ari reaches into his item box to take out his bow. Maria's hands begin to glow light blue, while Abby's feet glow a deep emerald green. The orange-haired bartender that let us out here speaks up in a cheerful tone after she lets out a chuckle. Well, you 4 look ready for battle already. I assume the association received the copy of that map I sent over. Abby nods and Char continues. This is the closest break to the wall. There are no towns or people nearby. It was all abandoned years ago. This one should be one of the easiest breaks. Golems may be tricky at first, but once you get used to them, they aren't much trouble to take out. Well, that's what some of the elites that pass through have told me. I nod, trying to get a good view of one of them, but the 40-meter drop and long distance are making it difficult to see. Charlotte continues while pointing out into the desert. The break shouldn't be more than a kilometer or so that way. On a clear day, you can usually see the portal from atop the wall. This whole week, the desert has been acting up. More sandstorms and dungeon breaks than ever before. The visibility has decreased a lot. I'm sure you'll all manage to find it though. She smiles, crossing her arms as the ominous dust clouds get closer and closer to the base of the wall that we're standing on. I look down, seeing no ladder on this side of the wall. I could float us all down with my wind magic, but I'm not looking to do that with the association's charming lookout right behind me. Abby speaks up. Well, what are we waiting for? Enough sitting around. Let's go kill some monsters. She jumps off the side of the wall without a moment of hesitation and begins to glow bright green. My eyes widen as I watch stone materialize beneath her feet. A floating staircase leads downwards behind her as she gracefully jumps from step to step. Follow me, I've learned a few tricks since we all fought together. It's time to show off. Maria lets out a laugh and jumps off the high ledge as well, following closer behind on Abby's staircase of stone. Ari smirks and jumps after them, making his way down to the desert floor too. I turn to Charlotte and she nods, giving me a word of goodbye. Best of luck down there. Come on back to the tavern whenever you all need a break. I'm sure there's lodging in some of the smaller towns deeper into the Dark Continent. Staying there will make your travels easier, but my bar is always open to ya if you need to come back. May your hunt be bountiful. I give her a firm nod, then jump off the wall to land on the first stone step made by Abby's advanced earth summoning. Appreciate it. We'll be back before you know it. I turn and follow my team downward while reaching into my item box and pulling out my flaming sword. I sense the stone staircase rumbling behind me. I turn my head to watch it begin disintegrating just a few meters from my steps, giving me just enough room for comfortable strides. I think to myself as I make my way down. Materializing stairs like this is a neat trick. I'll have to test out something similar with my own earth magic soon. Bursting into flames, I run down the steps and make it all the way to the desert floor mere seconds later. The four of us land on the ground with a thud. I look forward, activating my enemy detection skill to scope out the monsters ahead. The wide grins can be found across all of our faces. Feels like forever since I've been in a real battle. This is going to be good. 60M, 60M, 100M, 100M, 150M, 170M. I call out. They'll be attacking in groups of 2. Let's split up and take them out. Then we'll make a game plan for the actual break. A unanimous firm nod is my response as Maria and Abby start running towards the enemies without a moment of pause. I watch the green-haired healer take out 2 black daggers. Then they begin to glow to match her aura. Maria takes out a long, thin silver sword, one I've never seen before. It begins to glisten and glow a similar color to her ice magic. I use appraisal on the 2 items out of curiosity. Enchanted daggers, Q, Earth aspect, plus 89% strength, plus 81% agility, plus 81% speed. Enchanted long sword, Q, Ice aspect, plus 93% strength, plus 79% agility, plus 79% speed. I do a double take, but it's exactly as expected. They've managed to get element-imbued weapons, most likely a treat from the director. Their stats are pretty good, almost on par with some of my gear. The only thing that I'm unsure of is that Q. Marking on both of them, the girls' blue and green auras grow brighter and brighter as I watch the ground ripple beneath Abby's feet and the sand and air around Maria freeze solid, leaving a 5M wide path of pure glistening ice behind her. Ari looks over to me, drawing his bow and creating a thin white arrow. I activate my all-seeing eye and am thoroughly surprised by the precision at which it is being summoned. His unique skill allows him to draw spirit-imbued mana, just like my fire magic has fire or elemental-imbued mana. It's formed into a dense and thin arrow with similar qualities to the attacks I release from my sword and dagger. It's hard to tell its exact power from just a glance, but if I had to guess, it seems to be thin and dense enough to break through a berserker's shielding. This is most likely not his full power. Was he hiding his strength before? Was I too weak to tell? Or was his training that intense? Ari speaks up. Hey, you ready? I shake my head, then smirk, igniting my entire body into a dark ball of dark fire. As ready as I'll ever be. We both turn and run toward the approaching dust clouds with our eyes locked on the towering shadows of the approaching enemies. I know they're golems. I've even read about these creatures before. Massive stone, semi-humanoid creatures without a soul. The power within them must come from their cores. I'm betting on that being their weak spot. Other than that, this is completely new territory for me. I've never seen one before. I thought my first golem encounter would be in a dungeon, but I guess I'll be facing them out here in the real world. My battle-ready smile grows as I begin to hear and feel the rumbling sound of large beasts approaching. The first 2 massive monsters begin to finally come into my visual range. 18M, 20M. Maria and Abby lunge straight into battle 10M ahead of us. My gaze begins to rise upwards as the monsters we're about to face finally come into full view. This is it. Our first team battle in the Dark Continent is getting started. Chapter 204. Our first battle in the Dark Continent is getting started. The hard sand-covered ground feels like it's rumbling beneath my feet. The cloud of golden-brown dust in front of us grows larger and larger until one of the monsters finally shows itself. My gaze lifts upwards as Abby and Maria charge at the beast that finally reveals its form. A pair of dark orange glowing eyes is the first thing that I see appear through the cloud of sand. Then a 2-meter thick arm of stone reaches out to hit the ground by the 2 girls' feet with a ground-cracking thud. Unlike the armor of the behemoth I fought recently, the stone covering this beast's body is part of its being. I watch the rest of the monster come out from its veil of sand. A massive stone humanoid figure comes stomping out. The sound of stones scraping together fills my ears while I watch the 6-meter-tall monster let out a roar. It lunges forward. Glowing lines of dark orange energy begin to shine brightly around its chest. They look like pulsing veins of mana that spread all throughout its body. Their energy frequency gets lighter and lighter the further from its midsection they travel. I whisper under my breath as I watch Abby create floating stone stairs upwards, gripping her daggers. The summoned rocks disintegrate the moment her feet leave them. My eyes are locked on the orange light within the golem. That must be its core. Maria runs around its left side, and her sword begins to glow a much darker blue. The orange eyes of this monster track both of the girls at once. Its face shows a gruesome beast-like expression made out of sand and stone. It's an imitation of a human's face, but distorted and constantly shifting as it moves around the battlefield with slow yet powerful thrusts of its arms and legs. Abby jumps up at the monster with her black blades now glowing green, while Maria starts swinging her sword upwards from below. My eyes open wide as I watch 3 crescents of energy erupt from their weapons. 2 green beams of light come shooting from Abby's daggers, while a thick blue blade of ice comes from Maria's sword. I grin, letting out an impressed laugh as the attacks hit the monster's shoulder and lower leg. An explosion of rock and ice fills my vision. Then the sound of a familiar metallic clang fills my ears. Ari and I jump backward while watching the dust clouds erupt upwards, then slowly settle. The attacks they let loose were powerful but far from refined at all. It seems Maria and Abby are in their brute force phase of mana control training. The roar of the first golem sounds out, and I see the orange glow of its eyes shine brighter. The sand and rock residue in the air starts to fall back into the monster's injured arm and leg. Its limbs were completely blown off in the attack, but it's able to reform any part of its body at will. Abby and Maria are way ahead of the curve. Both of them have drank MP potions and are already charging up another attack. I watch the ground around the monster ripple. This is Abby's magic, not the golem's. Heavy mana-imbued stone holds its legs in place, and Maria launches an attack at its torso. A metallic twang and explosion of ice forces out a frustrated roar of agony from the massive monster stuck in place. Stone flies in all directions as Abby releases her own dual attack into its weakened torso. Another metallic twang of mana on mana followed by flying stone, and a bright explosion of orange energy concludes this battle. It's over already. In a dazzling display of bright blue and green light, the mighty stone desert golem is blown to pieces. I watch a shattered black orb fall from the monster's midsection, and its eyes fade from their fiery glowing orange hue to a pair of dull gray lifeless round stones. The remains of a fierce monster crumble to the ground, leaving nothing but sand and stone in its place. With no time to waste, an identical golem comes charging in from a nearby dust cloud, and both Abby and Maria take it on without a moment to think. I stare in awe for a moment, then Ari elbows me in the side. They really have grown a lot already, haven't they? He smirks and I nod. The archer points off to the other clouds of dust and sand approaching. 2 pairs of glowing orange eyes can be seen from a distance. Come on, those 2 are ours. Let's staking out. Without another word, the 2 of us begin running toward the pair of golems with our weapons drawn. Ari summons an arrow and I charge my sword. I'll only use 300 MP for this monster. With the density and control of my attacks, more would be overkill. Activating my all-seeing eye, and we run closer to the beasts, letting our attacks fly. The monstrous slow-moving golems activate their shielding moments before impact, but my thin black crescent of flames glides right through its chest without any resistance. I watch the thin white arrow shot from Ares' bow glide through the brightest point of the golem's core right next to mine. Before we're even 15 meters away from the 2 colossal monsters of stone, their roars have stopped and their circular glowing cores have gone cold. Both creatures of golden brown sand and stone crumble to the ground. The dust clouds dissipate while Ari and I keep running forward. With eyes locked on the final 2 golems, the end of this battle is in sight. As I pass the rubble of the monsters we just took out, my eyes catch a glimpse of the leftover pieces of the glossy black core. Using my appraisal skill, I scan it as we pass. Shattered golem's core. Its mental strength boosting stat is gone, along with the enchanted tag and its sand description. Without a dungeon for the mana material to absorb back into, I wonder how drops will work out here. They may just completely dissolve once the break is cleared, or maybe a percentage of them will stay in solid form. In time, I'll find out. Looking back up to the action, I see Maria and Abby both finish up their last golem and join us on our run toward the final two. Each of us glows green, blue, white, and dark red as we charge at the monsters. Once within range, the orange eyes of the final two golems give us a clear target to strike. With wind in my hair and the excitement of a new adventure ahead, I let an attack fly. All of my teammates do the same. Releasing a wave of mana at the two approaching golems, we all celebrate early, knowing these beasts never stood a chance. A moment later, after a flash of blue and green light, both of the golems are torn to shreds, then finished off by a thin white arrow and a dark crescent of flames. Before the monsters are even within full view, they crumble to the floor and the dust of our first team battle settles. I slow my run down to a light jog, then even more into a slow walk. Eventually, we all come to a halt and the swirling dust around us clears to reveal the wide open desert. Ari stops right beside me and throws his bow back into his item box. I do the same with my sword after sending out an enemy detection pulse to make sure we're all in the clear. There's not a single being within over 500 meters of us. We're safe for a while. I let out a sigh and take in the empty desert view as Abby and Maria approach. The blonde-haired ice magic user yells out in an excited tone. "That was awesome! More! Let's go find that break." I smile, responding as both of them slow down and come to a stop. I agree, moving on to the break next is a good plan. We've all improved a lot, but this is just the beginning. Abby nods firmly and chimes in, pulling out the roughly drawn map. "You're right. This break is labeled number 1, the weakest of all 6. Let's collect these broken cores, then head out to clear the boss room." We all reply with a firm nod, then Ari points to the map. "It looks like there's a small settlement we can visit afterward too. It's not far. I know this portion of desert like the back of my hand. We'll be entering the sun-scorched flats over the next few days. Our last break looks like it's near a city named Solara." He stares out into the rolling sandy hills. "I guess all of you will get to see my hometown sooner than I thought." Chapter 205. The 4 of us backtrack and collect all the shattered black cores from the fallen golems. Their bodies of rock and sand have not disappeared at all. They're just laying in chunks and piles all over the desert floor. It's been close to 10 minutes now, so that confirms my theory that the monsters that die out here won't dissolve until the dungeon collapses. The cores from the monsters that Abby and Maria took on are blown to pieces. The 2 of that Ari and I face solo seem to still almost be in a fully salvageable state. They're made of a hard black glossy crystal-like material. It glistens in the midday sun as I pick one of them up to examine at a closer range. The core is palm-sized and about 3 kilograms. It's pretty heavy and feels like it's about to fall apart if I hold it any longer. I throw the fragments of one of the cores into my item box, and Air does the same with his. Abby and Maria collect the larger fragments of the other golems and store them in their item boxes as well. We might as well grab everything we can get. These fragments may be valuable if they don't dissolve once the dungeon collapses. Abby speaks up. "All right, let's all head to the break." I activate enemy detection and start to sense more monsters in the direction Abby points. They're approaching fast, in groups of 3 to 6. I reach back into my item box to pull out my flaming sword, then think about throwing on my armor. It's not necessary for these battles yet, but it wouldn't hurt to be prepared for the boss if it's a high-level mutant. I speak up before we leave, pulling out my bonded set of lightweight armor. "Hey, 1 second. Let me throw this new armor on." Maria's eyes light up and she walks over while I fit the gear to my chest and arms. "These are nice. Where'd you buy them? The association shop? Or was it a rare drop? Or..." I smirk, clicking the last silver piece onto my forearm, letting a few hundred mana points flow through the entire bonded set. "It was a labyrinth drop. I got it in a boss room while training this week." Ari joins the conversion. "Nice set. You'll have to show me around the capital labyrinth when we get back." I nod. Then he points to Abby already making her way into the open desert. "Come on, let's go." The three of us follow, continuing our trek through the desert. According to Abby's calculations, the break is about 1.5 kilometers northeast of us. The closer we get, the more enemies I spot on my radar. They can be tracked by I once they come within 200 meters or so. The visibility was all right up on top of the wall, but the rising and falling hill of the desert landscape make it harder to see where we were headed. I'm relying on Abby's sense of direction and double-checking it by following the higher density areas of enemies nearby. We run into another few groups of golems on the way, but easily take them out. Every enemy ranges from levels 394 to 396. Even fighting one-on-one, all four of us can take the golems out on our own without a problem. By the time we reach the portal, I have 6 full cores worth of fragments in my item box. Maria calls out from beside Abby up front. That's it. I see it. The break. We climb up a final sandy hill and I see it as clear as day. There's a large dark red swirling portal of mana-imbued transport magic. As we stare, more stone golems pour out. The sound of stone scraping stone fills my ears as they step into our world. The four of us jump down the hill and take out the final group in a matter of seconds, then jump through the blood-red gate. Once inside, I look around to notice the landscape of the golem dungeon. The ground is hard stone, the exact same light brown color as the monsters we've been fighting. There's a bright blue sky above and raised plateaus of rock walls and deep valleys for as far as the eye can see. What puts a smile on my face is the approaching hordes of golems, unaware that they'll soon meet their end. Using inspect and enemy detection, I scape out the area. My teammates get situated and take in the view as well. Just like the monsters outside, mostly all the golems in here seem to be around level 395. Although, closer to the back of the boss room, I sense 2 readings well over level 400. It's odd though. My inspect skill labels each of them with a singular level, while my enemy detection skill refers to these monsters as multiple enemies. I'll have to face them and scan with my all-seeing eye to get a better sense of what's going on. The four of us make our way through the unique landscape for over an hour. For the large portions of deep valleys and canyons where it would take too long to walk down, Abby leads the way, creating her floating stairs that crumble behind us. I could give it a try myself, but she seems very content as the navigational leader right now. There's no need to show off just yet. I'm waiting eagerly for the mutants and boss to come. As we get closer and closer, the incoming golems get stronger. They're not powerful enough to put up a great fight yet, but their levels are nearing 400. Another oddity I found is that these golems dissolve back into the stone ground after they're defeated, even the shattered cores. None of the 24 monsters that we've defeated so far have dropped a single item either. Finally, an hour into our trek, we make it to a point of very open flat land. There's a massive structure of orange-brown stone to our left and a ravine to our right. Peering downward, I can't even see the bottom. We come to a halt and I take out some water to give to everyone in the group. Ari looks down into the darkness below with me, then turns around. We're about halfway there, right? Abby chimes in. Yep. I nod, picking up a few readings with my skills active in the background. 1200 m. LV. 409. LV. 408. The distance between us and these final enemies is about the same as the distance we've already traveled into this dungeon so far. Between us and the mutants, there are about 40 more golems coming our way. I kick a rock down into the empty pit below. After waiting a few seconds and hearing no impact with any ground, I speak up. There's 2 mutants about a kilometer away. If I had to guess, they're in front of the boss room. We continue our short break and take out the golems that block our path. Not a single one of them drops an item. The 4 of us are definitely over-leveled for this break, but it's a good warm-up for what's to come. Finally, after nearly 2 hours in this mid-grade C-class dungeon, the action finally begins. 100 m. LV. 409. LV. 408. The flat ground we've been trekking on for over a kilometer makes a steep drop-off and a cliff falls down below us. We peer over the edge, and the mutants I've been waiting for show their faces nearly 50 meters below. As we walk to the edge of the cliff, 2 sets of bright orange eyes lock onto us. These beasts are over 7 meters tall each and are made from much darker-looking stone. It seems to be stained orange from the energy coming out of its core. The small cracks and gaps in their bodies of stone shine bright with mana-imbued energy. Their faces look even more gruesome than their minions, and I can hear the light buzz of mana in the air from here. Their shielding is already activated even though we haven't thrown a single attack. Right behind them is a dark gray swirling boss room portal. I activate my all-seeing eye, and everything begins to make a lot more sense. The reason my readings showed 2 enemies per mutant is because they each have 2 cores. Clear as day. With my perception skill active, I can see a glowing orange core in each monster's forehead and chest. How interesting! Ari smirks and charges up an arrow, releasing it with great precision down at one of the golems below. I watch as it collides with the shielding in front of this golem's chest. There's a flash of white light and an explosion of stone that obliterates the core. Rock fragments are sent flying in all directions and a cloud of dust hides the 2 figures from view. He crosses his arms, but I watch attentively through the debris with my all-seeing eye on full blast. As the rock and dust clear from the air, the scattered stone begins to reform and the golem stands up to its feet without a scratch on its exterior. The monster is completely healed, despite its core being shattered to bits. I take a closer look to see the energy in its forehead's core pulse brightly. My gaze drops down to its chest and the pieces of dead black core fragments come back together. Its chest starts to glow orange again. Seconds later, both cores are as good as new. It lets out a murderous roar, taunting us to come down and face it. I let out a laugh, then turn to the archer. Good shot, but it looks like it's going to take a bit more than that to take out these mutants. As soon as I finish my sentence, the swirling mass of mana behind the 2 monsters pulses to let out an eerie wave of energy. Can only be picked up by my all-seeing eye. Soon after, the boss room portal turns a slightly darker shade of gray. Chapter 206. I watch the boss room portal turn a darker shade of gray after the eerie energy pulses out from it. I can't feel it, but my all-seeing eye picks up a reading of a nearly invisible mana shootout in all directions. More importantly, there are 2 mutant golems guarding the boss room portal with dual cores. The landscape below is less dry and flat than up here. Small green and yellow shrubs grow out from the bases of high orange rock structures scattered along the desert floor. A bright blue sky shines bright behind them in all directions. Ares' last shot just confirmed that if both cores in the mutants aren't broken, these monsters can regenerate back up to their full unaltered forms using just one. That's my best guess. I look over to my teammates, then ignite my sword into flames. The rest of them all activate their active battle skills and we all jump from the high ledge down into action. Both of the vicious-looking monsters watch us fall, and they let out roars that vibrate through the air. Abby activates her earth magic for Maria and Ari to use as stepping stones while I freefall with my eyes locked on the 2 now approaching golems. Less than 5 meters from the ground, I decide to activate some of my untested combat magic. If necessary, I can use my wind magic to slow my descent, but I know it won't be a problem. Although I haven't used these skills much yet, I can feel what they're capable of. Activating my earth magic, along with mana manipulation, I easily liquefy the ground below me. In my perception, with my all-seeing eye skill active, the ground below me looks like a bright white and pink glowing malleable form of pure mana to shape into whatever my heart desires. To anyone looking from the outside, the orange rock below me rises up in the shape of 2 thin pillars to touch the soles of my boots. The mana-imbued stone collides with my feet and instantly begins to climb up my legs as I fall to the floor. Instead of a loud thud and the cracking of stone, my impact is silent. The energy from the fall disperses across the stone floor, and it ripples as the orange rock melts off my legs back into the ground below. I deactivate my 2 combat skills, stomping on the ground with my right foot to make sure it's really solid. The dust and sand that flies up confirm my answer. I turn toward the 2 mutants to see they've already shortened the distance between us considerably. I use appraisal on the closest one. Active items. Enchanted Sand Golem's Core, plus 91% mental strength. Enchanted Sand Golems Core, plus 91% mental strength. Active skills: Combat Magic, Earth Summoning. Above, Ari jumps in to join as I run at the monster charging in. Both of its cores glow brightly. The layer of shielding over its head and chest thickens as it makes the ground shake with every step. The glowing orange eyes match its core. Fragments of rock float in the air around it, shifting and reforming into its arms and legs as it gains more and more speed. I charge my sword and let out a 500 MP attack aimed at its chest. Ari charges this bow up for a few seconds, then lets a white arrow fly, shooting at the monster's forehead. The moment we release our shots, the mana shielding around the beast's weak points gets denser. The orange energy all throughout its body retracts to protect its power sources. The massive body of stone shrinks. Its arms and legs get shorter and chunks of rock fall away as it focuses its energy elsewhere. Both attacks make contact with its newly improved shielding. Mine glides through, being much too dense and thin to be bothered by the increased power of its defense. Ari's arrow collides just like before, letting off a bright white light and throwing stone chunks off in all directions before destroying the core. The golem's lifeless body crumbles to the floor and shatters into hundreds of smaller pieces by our feet. 2 black shattered orbs roll to the ground as well. Behind the monster we just defeated, Abby and Maria take on the second mutant. I'm curious to see how their attacks will hold up against this slightly stronger shielding. They run in glowing bright, but don't go in straight for the offensive at first. Maria runs around the slow-moving golem's feet, summoning thick layers of cold magic to hold it in place. Large blue walls of ice grow larger and larger as the orange glow coming off the monster's head gets increasingly brighter. While holding the golem in place, she charges an attack up in her sword, glowing darker blue and preparing for the best moment to strike. Abby runs in, jumping from summoned stone to stone, gracefully making her way through the air toward the beast. She activates her earth magic. I watch the face of the mutant totem begin to bend and shift. The shoulders and neck of the beast start to liquefy as Abby temporarily takes control of the monster made of stone. The dark orange creature made from stone strains its body to move, focusing its energy on the affected areas of Abby's magic. It's struggling to gain back control while the green-haired hunter exposes its weak points. Maria takes her opportunity to let out a dark blue crescent of ice-imbued mana straight at both of the glowing cores. Both of them jump backward to avoid the white and blue flash of light that follows. I cover my face with my left arm to shield myself from the incoming debris. Fragments of stone and shattered cores rain from the sky, while Abby and Maria walk out from the settling dust without a single scratch on them. The ice wielder speaks up while powering down her sword. Those mutants were pretty strong. I almost had to use my full power. Abby twirls her daggers and agrees. Yeah, I can tell they didn't have advanced earth magic from the start. Even so, their mana control compensates for it. I raise an eyebrow and the green-haired healer continues. A higher level of mana control can overpower any skill if it's strong enough, even if it's an upgraded version of it. I nod slowly as this makes sense, but I never really gave it much thought. Abby turns to the portal, then it pulses again. Another wave of mana comes out and runs through all of our bodies. It doesn't feel like anything, just like last time. Can't be perceived with any normal senses. The portal behind the approaching girls gets slightly darker. The 4 of us regroup and try to collect the fallen fragments of cores left behind by the 2 mutants. Unfortunately, they dissolve into the rocky dungeon floor. Still, no drops. I turn to the twisting gray boss room portal in the middle of the rocky desert, then back to my team. Ready to clear our first dungeon break? With a resounding yes from all of my teammates, we waste no more time and jump through. The 4 of us activate our active combat skills and charge our weapons, ready to fight. Once transported through the boss room portal, anything can happen. We'll be facing a mutant boss. Once through, a dry heat wave hits me, and I activate my enemy detection, inspect, and appraisal skills while squinting to try and take in the view. The sky is bright white and the ground beneath my feet feels like it hasn't felt rain in years. My eyes adjust to the light, and I see the readings my skills have picked up in my mind's eye. 100 m. LV. 443. Active items. Enchanted Sand Golem's Core plus 105% Mental Strength. Enchanted Sand Golem's Core plus 105% Mental Strength. Enchanted Sand Golem's Core plus 105% Mental Strength. Enchanted Sand Golem's Core. Bonded plus 120% Mental Strength. Active skills. Combat Magic. Earth Summoning. It has 4 cores. Chapter 207. It has 4 cores. My eyes adjust to the overly bright boss room light and see the readings my data collection skills have gathered. The final boss is 100 meters away. It's level 443 and it has 4 cores, one of which is bonded. I'm not entirely sure what this additional detail means, but I do know is we have a monster to defeat. This is our first of many boss rooms that I'm looking forward to this week. The 4 of us run forward into the blinding light ahead. I speak up as the landscape comes into view. The boss is straight ahead, it has 4 cores. Let's split up and take each one of them out together from all sides. Abby and Maria run off to my left and right while Ari trails behind me to take the rear. Even after my eyes adjust, the sky above is blindingly white, and the ground below my feet is made of dark orange rock and sand. There isn't a plant in sight. There are rolling hills and a few rock structures in the distance, but overall the room seems pretty plain. This makes finding the golem much easier. The boss monster in question shows its face immediately. Growing up from the orange stone glow below, I watch a towering 8-meter-tall beast materialize from the Dunedin floor. The sound of rocks scraping together fills my ears, and its lifeless eyes stare us down filled with a desire to kill. I feel the air pressure shift all around us, and the buzzing sensation of mana tickles my bones as an ear-shattering roar fills the room. The massive humanoid creature, made entirely of stone, charges forward, leaving mountains of stone in its wake. With every step it takes, the monster absorbs more dungeon material and leaves excess behind. I can clearly make out the 4 cores, even without my all-seeing eye activated. There's one, it is forehead glowing bright orange, and 2 on the back of each hand matching its hue. The 4th one in its chest is much different than the others. It pulses light pink, emanating pure mana rather than the orange-imbued energy from the other 3. This must be the bonded core. Seconds later, the monster is less than 20 meters away and readying its first attack. The golem casts a dark shadow over us even from this distance. I charge up my sword with a 1000 MP strike. There's no reason to go easy on this beast. Overkill is the best option. With a swift swing of my sword, the black flaming crescent flies straight for its chest. My teammates let out their mana-imbued strikes as well. Abby and Maria aim for the monster's palms, while Ari takes a clear shot at its forehead. As the monster takes its first right-handed swing at the 4 of us, our strikes make an impact with its body of stone. Bright flashes of blue and green light expand quickly, and the sound of mana shielding being ripped to shreds fills my ears. I watch my attack slice the main core straight in 2 without a problem, and Ares' arrow pierces its forehead too. The massive beast crumbles to bits. Chunks of orange stone fly all over and I track its shattered cores with my all-seeing eye. Each one of them is broken into hundreds of tiny pieces and the once powerful desert golem boss is no more. It didn't even get a chance to follow through on its first swing. The dust clears and the 4 of us get a good look at the rubble. This monster was a much higher level than all of us, so I'm patiently waiting for some kind of level up notification, but one never comes. Something isn't right. We all slowly walk over to the pile of stone cautiously. Maria speaks up from 5 meters to my left time. We hit all of its cores, right? I nod, creeping closer and scanning the area with my perception skill. It isn't picking up a single reading, but there's definitely something wrong here. We did. Abby starts moving stones around with her earth magic, finding pieces of some of the shattered black cores on the ground. They're definitely broken. What are we missing? I tighten my gaze, then begin to hear a light hum from a rock pile on my right side. I turn around and pick up a dense mana reading right before a massive stone arm forms from the ground and comes flying toward me with a dense white and pink mana shield surrounding it. Immediately, I raise my sword to block it. A loud twang of mana on mana echoes from our clash as I'm pushed backward by the sheer force of its blow. I plant my feet and hold it off as I watch the entire stone golem reform from the ground before my eyes. I burst back into flames and air step backward to face the beast again. I mutter under my breath as I focus on getting a safe distance away. I knew this wasn't going to be that easy. The white and pink core in its chest is sucking energy up from the dungeon floor, recharging and healing it back to its original form. Just like the mutants we faced earlier, the shattered cores nearby all begin to shift back to their sphere shapes and roll toward the body of the newly formed stone golem. The boss is as good as new and lets out another roar to prove it. Its eyes shine pink, tinted orange by the energy from its other reforming cores, while swinging both of its arms around in a wide circle covered in a thin layer of mana shielding. All of my teammates go back into full attack mode again. I yell out, "We'll take it out again. I'll isolate its main core, that's its weak point. You all go for the other three. I have an idea." Without a word of response, my teammates attack the rapidly growing golem. Its broken cores have all been entirely mended themselves and positioned back onto the monster's hands of stone and the center of its forehead above the glowing eyes filled with a murderous glare. I land on the rocky floor about 15 meters away and plant my feet while keeping my eyes locked on its main pink glowing core. While watching the blue, green, and white shots of energy collide with its body, I propelled myself forward using wind magic to gain more and more speed, aiming straight for the monster's chest. Instead of releasing an attack to destroy its final core, I replicate the style of magic Abby used on the mutants outside the boss room portal. Activating my advanced earth summoning and focusing on the stone around the remaining pink core, separating the surrounding dark orange stone. The closer I get, the easier it is to control the rock surrounding it. I can feel a pull from the monster trying to regain its dominance, but its mana control is far too weak to compete with my own, especially with its other three cores destroyed. A 2-meter wide hole in its now liquefied chest allows me to fly through to grab the pink glowing sphere, tearing it from the enormous stone body. It buzzes violently as I hit the ground and activate my plundering skill. Dense pink and white mana seeps out for the palm-sized crystal and fills my MP bar to full as the creature made from stone collapses to the ground. Level up. The familiar ringing sound in my head notifies me that it's staying down for good this time around. The golem's core is still in my left hand. It's mostly clear now, but is tinted orange and pink from the residual mana and artificial sunlight from above. Blue text floats above it. Use Advanced Mana Manipulation. Advanced perk. Temporary minion. Enter desired level. 0 to 423. Yes. No. My eyes open wide for a moment. Then I look up to see my teammates running over to me. Abby is the first to call out. "Looks like you've picked up a few new tricks during your training too." I toss the clear crystal core up and down in my hand a few times, then decide using my temporary minion perk right now is not the best plan. I look up to the green-haired healer and reply, "Yeah. Looks like we have a skill in common." Abby was the first hunter to ever learn about my unique skill. We haven't talked about it much since. It's kind of refreshing to hear someone say something about it out loud without accusing me of something. She gives me a firm nod and a light smile as both Maria and Ari come walking over. Fragments of the other three black and dead cores begin to dissolve into the dungeon floor, but the crystal ball in my hand remains. Bright white transfer magic light blinds us, and before we can react, the four of us are back in the middle of the open desert. Air is the first to speak up. "We've cleared the first break. That was easy enough. If I'm not mistaken, our next one is off in that direction." The dark-haired archer points deeper into the desert while Abby takes out the small map and tries to look for landmarks to pinpoint our location. She nods. Yeah, it's pretty far out. This trek could take us all day. He responds, crossing his arms. Perfect. It's not on that map, but there's a small village on our way if we take a quick detour. I recommend we stop there for the night. Chapter 208. Perfect. It's not on that map, but there's a small village on our way if we take a quick detour. I recommend we stop there for the night. While Ari speaks about this mysterious village, I stare down at the clear crystal ball in my left hand. The blue text from earlier still glows over it in my mind's eye. Use Advanced Mana Manipulation. Advanced perk. Temporary minion. Enter desired level. 0 to 423. Yes. No. Maria looks over at me while my gaze stays glued to the palm-sized sphere gem. I finally raise my head as she speaks up. Looks like there was at least one item drop from the boss. The blonde-haired ice user reaches into her item box, pulling out the black fragments of broken core from our earlier defeated golems. The moment they touch the air, the black crystal fragments begin dissolving into nothingness. I activate my perception skill to watch the tiny mana particles disperse into the air. I drop my sword into the sand and do the same, while my other teammates check their item boxes too. All of the black fragments of cores dissolve before our eyes. All that remains is the empty clear crystal core from the boss. I turn it over in my hand a few times, then look up to my teammates. Well, at least we got something out of the first break. Mind if I hold onto this core? I get a reply of 3 simultaneous nods. Then Ari starts looking out into the desert again. 1 down, 5 to go. Let's start moving before it gets too late. I throw the core into my item storage while putting my sword and armor back into the item box around my waist. Later, I'll have to take a closer look at this new item. We venture further into the open desert wasteland. The mountains far off in the distance seem to get larger with every step we take. The further in we get, the farther away they seem. All of the abandoned twisting roads and remains of human-made structures are now non-existent this far out in the desert. They were much more common closer to the wall. We travel straight ahead for 2 full hours. Maria and I follow Abby and the archer as they take the lead up front. All of us continuously drink from my water supply, but with the heavy sun above forcing sweat from our pores, each new bottle never seems like enough. It's a good thing I have over a 60-day supply of food and water on me. For the 4 of us, it should be more than enough to last the week. Ari speaks up as we take another break under one of the few light brown rock structures left in the rapidly flattening desert plain we walk across. I know it's far, but we're almost a quarter of the way through. I choke on my water, looking up at him while sitting on the sandy ground under a shady portion of cover. A quarter of the way through? We've been walking for hours. He smiles. They don't call these the sun-scorched flats for nothing. It'll get even hotter once we get to the center. Don't worry though, it'll be worth it. Once we continue, Abby and I take turns creating barriers of stone above the 4 of our heads to block out the incredibly hot sun. The MP used is minimal compared to the energy exertion it'd take to handle this heat. Even with my fire aptitude, natural heat from the sun still takes a toll on my skin and bodily systems. Even for awakened hunters like us, some things are still a challenge. We continue onward. As Ari warned us, the sand beneath our feet and the sun overhead does get much hotter. Drinking MP potions and chugging water, we make it through. The archer doesn't seem to be fazed by the heat one bit. Abby is toughing it out and I am too. Maria starts to glow blue nearby, giving off a cool, refreshing aura. About 4 more hours pass and we've hit the hottest portion of the desert. The sun beats down on us from above, and it feels like the sky is on fire. Every time the blazing sun touches my skin, I swear I can feel it sizzle. Thankfully, by now we have our system all worked out. With shade from the rock above and the cool melting ice below from Maria's magic, our traveling situation has actually become quite comfortable. Just a few hours left. This is the hottest it'll get. The village is nearby. I'm sure of it. Although, the landscape has changed out here a bit. I look ahead, seeing the rippling waves of heat distort my view of the desert ahead. So I activate my all-seeing eye to get an unaltered view. As soon as I do, I sense an approaching mass of pure mana coming our way. It isn't very close, but it's not what I expected to pick up on my radar. I activate my enemy detection skill along with inspect and appraisal, reaching them as far out as they can all go. The abilities pick up a reading that puzzles me at first glance. 1100 M. LV. 256. Active items. None. Active skills. Combat magic. Fire summoning. Something or someone is approaching fast. From what I can tell, it seems like this is a monster. All the way out here, I speak up in a serious tone. Hey, there's a monster approaching, and it has fire magic. Level 250 or so. There's nothing else in sight. It's just one. The archer nods while Abby holds our cover of stone magic overhead and Maria silently takes the rear. Ari responds. Well, it's coming from where we're headed, so we'll have to take it out either way. Maybe the break has already gotten worse. We continue forward for a few minutes, and the reading I picked up comes closer and closer until I can see it with my unaided eyes. The creature kicks up dust as it charges toward us. With light red skin and beady black eyes, waving its long flaming tail back and forth, I watch a 3-meter-long salamander run straight at us with a look of determination on its face. I go to grab my sword but stop as I hear Ari laugh. This far out? One of these? Really? The archer pulls back his bow and lets a barely charged thin white arrow fly out at the fast-approaching beast. It glides directly through its head and the monster collapses, skidding to a halt at our feet. The flame on its tail flickers out and the lifeless body of a unique-looking monster sits still in the middle of the open desert. We wait for a few minutes, confirming that the monster isn't going to dissolve anytime soon. We leave it on the desert floor. Once this next break is taken care of, it'll disappear anyways. We continue to walk deeper and deeper into the hot, wavering air of the desert for 2 more hours. Until finally I see green. I rub my eyes a few times to make sure I'm not hallucinating. Through the wavering heat waves of the desert, I really do see green. Every time I blink and refocus my vision, it's still there. Activating my enemy detection and expanding its range, I'm in for another surprise as I pick up on over 100 readings. They range from single-digit levels to triple digits rivaling my own. This must be it. There's a village ahead, and a lot of people too. Maria peeks out from behind me to squint and take a look too. Oh, I see trees. And is that? People. And buildings. We made it. Ari smirks while Abby takes in the view ahead, making a comment as well. I guess it was worth the wait. You were right. As we walk forward, a small desert town comes into full view, with kids playing on the sandy roads and vendors with tents and tables set up leading all the way to the center of the village. There's a whole community of people living out here in the desert. High dome-shaped buildings can be seen in the background, maybe 2 to 3 stories tall with orange and blue painted markings on their roofs. Most of the houses that surround these larger buildings are small and made from desert stone with minimal wood and orange fabrics. There aren't more than 3 dozen buildings in total. Off to the backside of the town, there's a small stone well with shrubbery and trees nearby. It has a crowd of villagers and children around it patiently waiting their turn for water. No one has noticed us approaching just yet. Ari turns to us. First impressions are everything in places like this. Follow me, and don't do or say anything stupid. Chapter 209. We approach the desert village and my eyes widen as I take in the view. This place looks so alive. There are kids playing and villagers buying and selling goods in the streets. Mana crystals, potions, food, handmade clothing, and all kinds of other magical items fill the tables and tents that line the streets. As soon as we approach, an older man greets us. He's no more than 160 centimeters tall, wearing a pale red robe and sporting a wide smile across his wrinkled face. I use inspect and appraisal as he gets closer. LV 271. Active items. Robe of protection plus 100 defense. Enchanted silver ring plus 40% mental strength. Enchanted salamander leather boots plus 30% speed plus 50% fire resistance. Active skills. Appraisal. Once I see his appraisal skill, I activate Conceal to hide the majority of my abilities and rare items. The man speaks up. Welcome, outsiders. Please, do state your business. With a kind look remaining on his face after the initial greeting, the old man's gaze scans over each of us. I watch his left eye twitch, but he keeps a cool and collected expression even after seeing some of my teammates' gear. The man doesn't seem overly impressed. He is a pretty high level, after all. Maybe he was a hunter in his younger years. Ari speaks up. I'm a native from a village right outside Solara, just a few days from here by foot. These three are from outside the walls, but they're with me. We're just stopping by for the night on our way to visit my hometown. If you'll allow it, of course. The dark-haired archer bows slightly, and the old man nods while clasping his hands together. Very well. If you're from inside the walls, you know the rules. Whatever trouble you make is on you. He points off to one of the larger buildings in the town and continues to speak. I'm sure the Mercenary Guild has a few rooms available for you if need be. A hot meal too. If you can't afford it, there's work available for hunters of your caliber. Ari raises his head and thanks the old man. Maria, Abby, and I walk by giving him polite nods, but not saying a word. I whisper under my breath as we get further away. That went well. I look to my left and right, seeing the vendors at closer range. There are all kinds of E and D class gear lining the tables and shelves of the wooden, fabric, and stone stalls. It looks like excellent quality. There are large mana crystals glimmering bright pink out on wooden tables, and the rings, potions, and unique-looking artifacts are polished to look as good as new. It doesn't exactly match the rugged handmade quality of the town around us. What's even more concerning is the lack of people buying this premium gear. The sellers all eye us as we walk by. I speak up louder so Ari can hear. Hey, where do all these items come from? Are there dungeons out here? Or special trade routes? All this gear looks brand new. It's nicer than some of the stuff in the capital. The archer looks back at me, with a puzzled look on his face. Honestly, I have no idea. There are dungeons and some traveling merchants, sure. But the last time I stopped by this village was on my way to take the C-class exams. There weren't nearly as many people, and that was only a few weeks ago. It's more crowded than I've ever seen it. He looks to both sides, matching the friendly expressions of the villagers. The further in we approach the center of town, the more crowded it gets. More and more people dressed in all different kinds of clothing, selling very different styles of gear and items. Something is definitely out of place. Ari's assessment of the village seems to be spot on. I'm not sure how or when, but recently there's been a large influx of new villagers. I wonder why. We make it to the front of the dome-shaped mercenary guide to see a large man standing out in front of wooden tavern-style doors. He wears a full set of lightweight leather armor and carries a large silver axe. The man has dark sun-baked skin and short dirty blonde hair. He's muscular and easily 190 centimeters tall. Ari and I stand up front while Maria and Abby follow. He speaks. You four new to town? What brings you by the guild? If you're looking for some decent work around here, you better be strong. Competition is tough. The archer nods and answers. That's fine, we're not looking for work anyways. Just hoping to buy a few rooms for the night. That's all. The brute grins. Outsiders with deep pockets, huh? How could I refuse? He steps aside from the front door and we walk inside. There are rows of crowded tables with rougher-looking hunters making a ruckus. The clean, well-dressed vendors and children lining the streets are nothing like the men and women inside here. laughter, conversation, and the occasional sound of metal on metal from armor and weapons clinking fill my ears. This is where rogues and traveling hunters congregate to make their money. We walk in, and I feel the gaze of a few too many eyes on me. Over 24 ruffians turn to see who came in the front door from their tables filled with drinks, food, silver, and stacks of paper. There's a massive pinboard to my left side. It's one of the first things I notice when entering the room. Some of the quests posted immediately catch my eye. They're made of the same tough paper material that is resting on many of the tables in the bar. Salamander Skin X60, 4 silver. Mana Crystals 5000 MU, 6 silver. Escort, 50 kilometers travel, 8 silver. Element Stone, Fire X1, 27 silver. Mana Crystals 10,000 MU, 11 silver. Escort, 120 kilometers travel, 15 silver. Salamander Skin X100, 10 silver. On it, there are dozens of quests and jobs with payment details. At the top of the list, there seem to only be items relating to pure mana crystals, escort protection through the desert, and some drops from salamanders. Coincidentally, that's the same mob that came running at us in the desert before we got here. The payment offers seem very low. I can get almost 10x the same rate for mana crystals back in the capital. Plus, I've never even seen an element stone for sale. I'd assume they're worth many gold, not 27 silver. It is a bidding system, so the only offers are from people in town that need certain items or services. There's no set price, it just depends on what people are willing to pay. Many other quests are buried below the current ones with lower bounties and more obscure items. My gaze finally leaves the pile of papers pinned to the wall when the bright flaming magic enters my field of view. I swiftly turn my body around and hear the raspy voice of an arrogant-sounding desert rogue. How about this old man? Another one in the books. Hand over the 27 silver, haha. It only took me a few hours to take that beast down. A good day's work indeed. A tall hunter with black slicked-back hair, a tight white shirt, golden jewelry, and very tan skin turns to show the room a toothy grin while he holds up a flickering firestone in his right hand. I use inspect and appraisal on him and the item in his hand. LV 326. Active items. Element Stone. Fire Aspect. Enchanted Boots plus 35% speed. Enchanted Gold Ring plus 50% mental strength. Gold Necklace of Protection plus 45% defense. Enchanted Gold Bracelet plus 45% mental strength. Active skills. Combat Magic. Fire Summoning. An old white-haired man at the long wooden counter in the back of the guild room quickly rummages through items on the floor until he takes out a small humming containment tray. The rugged hunter drops the flaming stone into the tray and it rattles, throwing sparks up in the air. The tray is clearly an old one and isn't doing a perfect job of keeping all the element-imbued mana contained. I activate my all-seeing eye to watch large amounts of blood-red magic seep out. The man at the back table begins to count out silver coins with his head down, not making eye contact with the rude hunter. The moment he stops counting, the fire user grabs the coins and turns around to leave. Thanks. I'll be back to clear the highest bounty tomorrow too. Hopefully there's another request for those firestones, they're easy pickings. A great workout too. With a confident look across his face, the man puffs out his chest and starts walking through the crowd of wondering eyes. A thin, younger-looking light blonde-haired man speaks up. I can feel the tension in the room as he raises a hand and jumps in front of the large fire-wielding rogue's path. Hey sir. How much would it cost for you to clear the break? Why you seem to be strong enough to do so. Our village. A small one off to the east about 1 kilometer has been dash. He cuts off the frail man. Not for sale. This break is a cash cow. Ha ha. He smirks, pushing the scrawny man out of the way as he passes, paying him no mind. I have 50, number 100 silver. Everything I have, think of the children in dash. The fire user swings open the guild's wooden doors and leaves without hearing another word. There's an awkward silence in the air for a moment. The blonde-haired man looks down at the ground with a frown across his face. I feel bad for the guy for a moment, but the mood in the room quickly changes. The chatter and laughter of other rogues and mercenaries starts to pick up again. I watch the older white-haired man at the front of the room wiping his forehead of sweat. Then he puts on a smile. The four of us take advantage of the situation and continue our walk through the guild. Now, with much less attention on us after that debacle. Chapter 210. All four of us walk toward the back of the crowded mercenary guild through the tables full of people. Sloshing drinks, various colored coins, and magical items being traded. The situation with a presumably well-known fire-using grunt has distracted the crowd's attention from our entrance enough that we make it to the front counter without any trouble. The old white-haired guild manager shows us a professional smile as we approach and gives a nod before speaking up in a much more confident voice than earlier. Some new faces around here. Are you looking to fill a request? What difficulty level are you all looking for? We have plenty available, but for outsiders, the pricing may be rather low. Competition has been tough lately with all the new hunters coming through. People are willing to jump at lower and lower offers every day. Ari steps up and places a hand on the counter, leaning in and matching the gaze of the old man. We're looking to buy today, not get paid. Do you have a few rooms available? Just for the night, we'll be leaving to go further north in the morning. The old man raises an eyebrow at Ari's last comment. He begins to shuffle paper and small items under the desk, then speaks. For the four of ya? The best I can do is a quad bunk room. There isn't enough space for single rooms in this town anymore, I'm afraid. He pulls out a small, partially rusted key and places it on the counter. Ari turns back to us with both hands raised slightly to his sides. I shrug and reply while stepping up to the old man. If that's all you got, then we'll take it. I reach into my item box to grab a few silver coins. How much is it gonna run me? He nods. That'll be 40 bronze for the night. As the manager replies promptly, the grip on the coins in my item box loosens and my mouth hangs wide open. I swallow my next words before they come out. Sifting through my item box, but not able to find any coins lower in value than the silver and gold I brought along. I gulp and place one of the shiny silver coins on the table. Maybe we could get a few drinks and some hot meals with that too. He quickly takes the silver coin, throwing it under the long table between us while I take the small key and put it in my item box. He replies, Room 117. You're right down the hall. The white-haired man points to a hallway off on our left side that twists out of sight from the main guild's main room. He continues to speak. Drinks? We can fill you up for the extra coin you gave me. Even if it's not for now, I never forget a face. Don't you worry. He winks. Food, on the other hand, you'll need to go find a restaurant in town. This isn't a bed and breakfast. He lets out a chuckle. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the scrawny man that stood up to the fire user earlier approaches. The guild manager takes notice. It was a good try earlier, Danny. Maybe the next crew of adventurers that roll in can help you out. It could even be these fellas. The manager points over to us. You four are hunters, right? Just looking at the way you handle your money and wave that high-class gear around like it's nothing, I can tell you're probably pretty good ones too. As we confirm his suspicions with slight nods and momentary silence, the white-haired man turns to the younger thin blonde. It's always free to ask. Might as well show them around town. They're in need of some good food. The stick-thin villager looks over to me and puts out a hand. Hi, sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to cause a scene on your entrance. The name's Daniel, or Danny, whichever you prefer. He gives off a nervous laugh as I shake his hand. Nice to meet you too. The name's Jay. I pause, remembering back to what the man in front of me said to the arrogant grunt before he left. He wanted him to clear a dungeon of some sort to help people from his village? Or at least something along those lines. I put a kind smile on my face and speak again. Whatever it is, we'll hear you're out. Just find us a good place to eat, and we'll happily listen to your problems. His eyes light up and his posture straightens. Amazing, I mean certainly, please, come this way. I'll bring you to the best hot meal in town. He turns to the exit of the guild with a whole new attitude about him. I shrug, and my teammates do the same. Maria chimes in as we begin to walk towards the door. Works for me. I'm starving. Abby rolls her eyes but politely follows, and Ari crosses his arms, not saying much, just moving his gaze across the room. Most people ignore us as we thank the old manager and leave with the thin hunter back outside into the desert town streets. The sun is starting to set now, and it's beginning to cool off. Lantern lights pop up in the various shops as the small man, Danny, leads us to the far edge of the village. We pass a dozen small square-shaped one-story huts and smaller dome-style buildings on our way. Behind me, the light yellow glow of lanterns disappears as I peer out into the open desert. On this side of town, the sun sets far off in the distance and the starry night sky comes into full view. The world around me seems to fade away for a moment as a streak of light zips across the sky for a fraction of a second. A shooting star. The light echoes from the chatter of trade, children playing, and random villagers' laughter fills my ears. I let out a sigh, thinking about how simple life must be out here. After a brief moment of silence, the Finn hunter's voice interrupts my thoughts as he points to one of the dome structures ahead. A steady flow of cooking smoke comes from a hole in the roof. There's a crowd outside, but not nearly as packed at the guild center we just left. Danny excitedly walks over. Here it is, the best food in the whole village. Come on, let's grab a table. We walk over, and the smell of rich fatty meats and spices takes over my senses. Peering into the hut, there are circular tables and many cheerful villagers eating steaming hot meals. The five of us sit down in a well-lit, cozy room with a view of the desert through an open window to my right side. We order our food from a kind woman and Danny begins to tell us his dilemma. Thanks again for hearing me out. I hope your travels through the sun-scorched flats so far have been uneventful. Ari nods and replies, since you already know what direction we came from, I'll tell you more. There's no harm in it. We made it from the Section 4 entrance wall in under a day. No bandits, no sandstorms, or any signs of trouble yet. Maria speaks up. Hey, that's not true. We ran into one of those weird-looking salamanders on the way here. Isn't that what all of this is about anyways? Daniel's eyes widen. You fought one of them on the way here? How terrifying. I mean, you must be pretty strong. I raise an eyebrow while using Inspect and Appraisal on the man to see he's level 134 with a dagger mastery skill. He's not exactly the cream of the crop, but still higher than expected. I interject. Yeah, we handled it fine. I'm assuming all of this is about a dungeon break? Relating to those monsters. He nods. Then, the woman that took our orders earlier brings out trays of steaming hot food and drinks. We begin to eat as Danny tells us his problems. Well, it all started about a week ago. There's a large cave system in the center of the surrounding villages that has many of the dungeons we all mine resources from to survive out here. He pauses and takes a bite, chews, then continues. Last week, the most difficult dungeon in that cave system changed. The portal turned bright red and monsters started to pour out. The volcanic salamanders. Usually, our most proficient fighters are able to handle the heat and farm materials without a problem. Recently, those that have fire aptitudes are the only hunters able to get into that dungeon due to the extreme temperatures. Mutants that roam those caves are getting stronger and stronger by the day. We're not able to safely live in any of the nearby villages or even think about farming loot in the other dungeons. Danny lets out a sigh. I'd offer you everything I have, really? These creatures are drying up our last remaining water sources and forcing all of the surrounding villages to move out here. That's why it's so crowded. We don't have many options left. Is it possible that you four are strong enough to handle it? I look at all of my teammates and they reply with shrugs and nods. After placing my fork down on the half-finished plat in front of me, I point one finger in the air, and the tip ignites into a small dark flame. Sure. I think we can make a deal. Chapter 211. Sure. I think we can make a deal. I let the small dark red flame on my finger flicker out as the frail hunter replies. Really? You'll help us out? What's your price? I don't have much at all, but I could get together 100 silver or, well, 1 gold coin's worth of silver and bronze, that is. I'd have to collect it from everyone that's willing to pitch in. I turn to my teammates. What do you think? A small detour can't hurt as long as we're getting paid, can it? Abby frowns, then takes out our map. She begins studying it carefully before turning to Danny. Where exactly is this cave filled with dungeons? He scratches his chin, then replies while looking at the ceiling. Well, it's about half a day's walk, or a few hours by camel to the northwest of here. I can show you the way. There's a tall mountain peak off in the same direction. If you stay headed straight towards it, there's no way you'll miss the cave system on the way. Abby's left eyebrow raises. Then she looks over to me and nods. We'll take the quest. We're headed in that direction tomorrow anyways. I want a different reward, though. We don't need the money. I sit back and cross my arms, watching the green-haired hunter take the lead on our business dealings. She definitely found something worthwhile on that map moments ago, and I trust her judgment. I'd like to face a new dungeon at any chance I can get, and helping out nearby villages is already a bonus on top of any money or resources we'll get paid. If Abby can sweeten the deal, I'll leave her to it. Danny replies to her semi-cryptic statement. Money isn't a value to you four? I am afraid I'm not sure what else there is to offer out here. We have food and water, but silver and gold are still the currency that's necessary for trade. It's the most I can really offer. Abby nods, taking a sip of her drink before replying. You said we can make it over to the dungeons tomorrow morning by camel ride, correct? Are those easy to come by around these parts? We're in need of a new ride moving forward on our journey through the desert. Are there any you're willing to part with? He pauses for a moment, and all that's heard is the clanking of silverware in the room along with conversation from the hunters and villagers at the surrounding tables. I take another bite of my food, enjoying the show. There are no major stakes on the line for me here. I'm fine with walking across the desert on foot if we really have to. A camel or two sure would make traveling easier, though. He replies, I'm sure if I get the people from my home village to pitch in, they'll be able to spare some transportation in return for your kindness. Abby and Danny go back and forth, negotiating for a few minutes while Ari, Maria, and I strike up a conversation of our own. The food and drinks on our table disappear one by one until there's nothing but empty plates and dry mugs on the circular wooden table. As our server comes to collect our finished dishes, Danny and Abby shake on a deal. If that's your final offer, I'll get it taken care of. 2 camels in return for guaranteeing the dungeon in question gets cleared. You sure are a confident one. He stands up, bows, then turns to leave. As I said, I'll have to talk with the others before it gets too late to organize the arrangements tonight. I'll meet all 4 of you outside the Mercenary Guild tomorrow morning. Does that work for you? Abby turns to us. How about it? 2 camels to take care of their dungeon problem. Maria nods, Ari smirks, and I reply, sounds good to me, we're happy to help. Danny happily walks out the door in a half skip. Our server finishes collecting the dishes. Then Abby speaks up to the waitress in a cheerful tone. Another round of drinks. It's been a good day. She nods with a polite smile. Of course, miss. For more drinks coming up. As the server walks away, the green-haired hunter leans in with a grin across her face. That break we agreed to clear, we're not only heading in that direction anyways, it seems like our second break is in the same cave, possibly the same exact break. Ari replies, I had a feeling but didn't want to step in on your first Dark Continent deal. It's fair game out here, no judgment. He chuckles and shrugs. Maria chimes in. Hey, so we were going to help him out anyways? That's no fair. I think we should do it for free. Or at least pay Danny for the camels. Abby starts to get defensive, but I step in before she can reply. Actually, I think it works out better for both parties if he helps us out for a fee. I turn to Ari. How would the villagers out here feel about the Hunters Association coming in and saving them from a break? He sighs, looking up at the ceiling, then back to me before replying. Not very kindly. There's a massive grudge against most association hunters out here. Would probably not be in our best interest to tell them we're here on a mission ordered by the government that banished them to stay within the walls. Maria gulps, then I nod slowly before replying. So, if we clear the break and Danny gets the credit for finding a team of traveling adventurers that did so, it's a win-win. We might as well get paid for it. I mean, come on. I'm not the only one a bit tired of walking through the desert. Maria sits back in her chair while Abby smiles wide with a satisfied expression across her face. See, I knew exactly what I was doing. I give her a firm nod. Then our second round of drinks arrives. I'm not sure if she really did think about the possibilities here, or if it was in her own self-interest, but I'm not too worried about any of this much now. It's time to enjoy the night. The four of us get a few more rounds of drinks, staying out for a couple hours until the bar closes and the sun fully sets. I'm still unaffected by the alcohol, but my teammates are having a good time. Another night with a full stomach and a happy team around me comes to a close. We make our way through the now quiet desert town back to the guild. After opening the front doors and walking through the much less crowded lobby, the four of us make our way down the winding wooden hallway at the back left corner of the room. With the turn of a key, the four of us collapse into our beds. The small rented room has a single window with a view of the starry night sky. It's been a long day, but a productive one. I drift off to sleep. Many hours of peaceful slumber pass. The next morning, my eyes open and I see Ari leaning up against the wall from across the room. Come on, rise and shine. We'll be late soon. Abby and Maria already got ready half an hour ago. I rub my eyes and hop out of the small bunk. Sunlight shines in from the window above my head, and the small rented room looks even tinier than it was last night. Ari lets out a laugh at the confused look on my face. Get what you pay for. I nod, tightening my lips and standing to my feet. I guess you're right. We both walk out to meet the girls standing ready in the hallway, then head off through the main guild room. The white-haired manager waves us goodbye. Have a safe trip, you four. Come back anytime. I still owe each of you a drink. I reply as we make our way through the slowly growing crowd of hunters piling in to get out the new quests available on the pin board. Sounds good, old man, until we meet again. On our way out the door, I happen to see the tall hunter with slicked back hair and a fire summoning skill that we saw yesterday. He's looking over the quest board. Many hunters are standing back behind him to wait their turn. As we walk out the tavern-style doors, he snatches one of the quests down from the wall and lets out an excited laugh. Another one, my lucky day. After I hear him blurt this out, the noises of the guild leave my ears. I'm nearly blinded by the sunlight from outside, but as my eyes adjust I see Danny standing no more than 10 meters away on the crowded village street. Next to him, there are two golden-brown camels with light red cloth over their backs. The hunter turns to us as we walk over. I wave and call out, "Morning. Hope you weren't waiting too long." He smiles and waves back. "Not at all. I sure am happy to see you two. How do you like your new rides?" Chapter 212. Danny waves to us as we approach. "Not at all. I sure am happy to see you two. How do you like your new rides?" Today he's wearing a new long red robe with a light defense buff, just like the older man that greeted us on our way in here yesterday. The two golden brown camels have a similar colored cloth over their humps with comfortable but lightweight-looking seating for two on each attached. He speaks again. "Hop on. I'll take you to the other side of town to fill up on water and gear. My ride is over there too." Abby steps in. "Your ride? What do you mean by that? Who said we'd be bringing you along?" I let out a chuckle, then jump up onto the camel in front of me with an assist from some wind magic beneath my feet. Danny replies, "Well, hey, it's not that I don't trust ya. The village elder just said it would be a good idea for me to go along, just to make sure the job gets done." Ari smirks. then hops up onto the second camel next to me. Makes sense, I don't mind if you come. Maria nods happily, then jumps up onto the camel that I'm riding, hugging me from behind. Works for me too. Abby lets out a long sigh, then nods. Well, then it's fine by me. Where's this water stock-up station you were talking about? I'm pretty sure we're set for supplies. She turns to me. I nod in agreement. I have more than enough food and water for all of us. Then Danny points off down the same road we came back from last night. Just around this bend, and the supplies aren't for you. Come on, follow me. He begins to skip happily down the street. Abby follows on foot as Ari and I get a hand of controlling the camels down the semi-crowded sandy backroads. Less than 2 minutes later, we make it to the edge of the village, finding ourselves in front of a few small square-shaped huts that seem to be very recently built. There are a few children running inside and outside the huts playing while some women clean and craft items. An old man tends to a camel gulping down water at an alarmingly fast rate from a tub on the sandy floor. Danny waves and speaks up. Elder, these are the hunters I was talking about. We're just about to head out. We'll be able to go back to our home village soon, maybe even tonight. The older man with a horribly slouched back and half-closed eyes looks up at us with a blank expression on his face. It turns into a rehearsed kind smile. Then he gets back to refilling the camel's water tub. Danny turns back to us, now walking backwards and looking up at me as we approach. The two you're riding on are already set for water. Over 100 liters each. You should give them more as much as possible, but if worst comes to worst, they'll be fine for a few days. Even a week or more in the worst circumstances. Best to keep him happy though. He smiles, turning around to pet the large camel behind him as it finishes the tub of water. The happy creature licks its lips and raises its head with a satisfied glimmer in its eyes. I reply, good to know. I look down at the short elderly man. Then he finally talks in a low tone. Best of luck on your travels, young ones. I appreciate you helping out my grandson. Abby hops up to sit behind Ari as Danny climbs up onto his ride. I reply to the old village elder. You got it. The dungeon will be cleared and Danny will be back in one piece before the sun goes down. He smiles, giving me a nod of approval, then speaking to one of the older women behind him in a language I'm not familiar with. Danny puts up his red hood and turns his ride to the open desert, pointing to a large mountain peak off in the distance. Let's get moving. We should be able to make it there in under 3 hours if we hurry. On that note, we leave the village without looking back. It was a fun stay, but our mission onwards awaits. Not only this break, but all 5 of the remaining ones. The more I think about it, the more serious these situations become. The last break we faced got stronger while we were facing it. This one is supposedly drying up nearby water sources and forcing natives to move out of their home villages. I really wonder what other interesting dungeons this desert holds. As soon as we leave the cover of the desert town, the morning sun begins to rise higher and higher into the sky. My skin starts to feel the burn of Mother Nature yet again. Abby and I both activate our earth magic abilities to create sun cover overhead. Danny seems to be used to the heat and is also properly dressed for the occasion. Maria holds onto my midsection as we ride, and she activates a small amount of ice magic. The cool sensation covers my body, making it feel like we're not in the desert at all. I can hear Danny laughing up ahead of us. You for sure do travel in style. I grin and call back. Yeah, we sure do. After about an hour of desert travel, our first visitor shows its face. A small dust cloud approaches. With my all-seeing eye, inspect, and appraisal skills active, I quickly deduce it's another one of those salamanders. A level 257. Before I can get a word out, I watch Ari charge his bow and release a thin white arrow into the approaching cloud. The attack pierces the monster's head and it tumbles out of our way before we get anywhere near it. I call out to him, 5 meters or so to my left side. I guess you're on salamander duty. He shrugs. Sure, for now. Over the next hour, another half a dozen slimy red-skinned creatures come running toward us. They're all between levels 250 and 270. Ari takes them out with no problems at all. Another hour passes, and the base-level mobs just keep coming. Over 20 more have come crawling our way. Danny speaks up as air shoots down another just 10 meters in front of us. I had no idea it had gotten this bad. The break is really getting out of hand. He gulps, then points ahead to a small rock structure about 500 meters ahead. It's barely visible, but I can see it. That's it, the cave entrance. We made it. I squint, looking forward, turning on my all-seeing eye. I'm hit with a blast of intense mana readings, then speak up to my group. There's at least 100 of them down there, no, maybe more. The corners of my lips start to curl up as I activate my inspect skill to scout out any potential mutants. To my delight, there are a few, but unfortunately, none are strong enough to put up a real fight. One of them even approaches us now, a level 312. This one is nearly 5 meters long, and I can see flames from its tails catch its whole back on fire. The monster's red skin glows with a yellow tint, and its black beady eyes stare us down without a hint of remorse. Ari stretches his bow back, taking aim. Then Danny yells out in a terrified tone. The archer releases an arrow. No, it's a mutant, wait! Dash. The wide-eyed expression across the scrawny hunter's face as he turns back at us waving his hands puts me into battle mode immediately. I know Ari is more than capable enough to take out this monster, and Danny knows that too. Why would he warn him to stop? I turn to Abby to see she's already turned toward me. Both of us jump off the backs of our rides. I hand the reins to Maria in midair as I airstep over Danny in front of us. Abby follows on a floating staircase of stone. We both activate our earth magic and make a floating wall of desert sand mixed with summoned rock 5 meters in front of us. This allows Air's arrow to pass, but blocks us from whatever danger Danny is warning us about. It's just a hunch, but the growing skin and intense flames of the mutant melt rock and sand beneath its feet. Combine that fact with the horrid expression on Danny's face as the archer let his shot loose. It makes me think we just ran over a landmine. Maybe we did. As Ares' arrow glides through the monster's head, a bright red flash of light fills the air. I feel an explosion of extreme heat, then rubble hit the opposite side of the summoned wall. Ari, Maria, and Danny come to a halt on the camels behind us. A few seconds pass and the white and red lights fade. Dust in the air begins to settle, and we let down the wall to reveal a massive 8-meter-wide crater in the desert floor. It's full of molten rock and sand. I let out a laugh, but Danny looks at it with widened eyes and a hunched posture. This is what happens every time one of those mutants is taken down. They destroy everything. My laugh quickly fades as I realize the seriousness of his tone. Then reply, "We can handle the heat. Don't worry." Maria points a finger down at the bubbling pit of molten rock and a stream of ice comes forth, consolidating the lava to stone instantly. She grins as I hop back on our ride. Maria whispers to me, "Yeah, they're hot, but their mana control is non-existent. These monsters won't be much trouble." Carefully, we make our way around the now ice and rock-filled crater, then head to the rock structure we set out to find. My only readings of any mutant-level monsters are underground now. There are none coming towards us on the surface. Only base-level mobs. Ari takes care of them. After a few more minutes, we finally make it. A jagged light orange-brown rock structure juts out of the desert sand. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be here at all. Over 20 meters wide, and about 7 meters tall, a mound of rock sits in the center of the desert. The buzz of mana emanates from it very strongly. We all stop a safe distance away and hop off our rides. I begin to walk forward mesmerized by the circular 3-meter-wide cave entrance. Rubble lines the inner walls, but the main path looks flat enough to safely walk through. Many hunters must have traveled down here before us. I walk closer, staring in awe. A wave of heat hits me, but I keep moving forward. As far as I can see from the outside, this tunnel in the desert is most definitely not a normal one. Instead of getting darker further in, the cave seems to have a light source at the end of it. There's a bright yellow glow coming from deep inside. The orange stone walls reflected off each other, causing the entrance to hum and shine with a warm hue, beckoning us to enter. Chapter 213. I stare into the cave in front of me, and it stares back. The buzz of mana fills the air, even audible for those that don't have advanced mana detection abilities like myself. The yellow light from within the cave reflects off its orange walls, shining out with a warm, inviting hue. I take out my sword, and Maria follows behind me. Ari and Abby start to walk close behind. I peer into the open cave's mouth. Rubble lines the walls and steam fills the air, pushing out hot waves of energy even more uncomfortable than the desert sun. The bright light from the back of the cave gives off a denser mana signature than anything we've seen all day. As I begin to stretch my perception skill out even more, one of the base-level red-skinned creatures comes sprinting out toward me. I reflexively charge my blade up and slice it in half before it can even take a step out of the cave. I hear Danny's quivering voice speak up from behind me. Hey, if you all go in there, I'm not so sure I can fend for myself. And, I told you all this before, but the only hunters that are even able to enter the dungeon break so far have been ones with the fire aptitude skills. Apparently, it's not a matter of how strong you are, just the heat can only be withstood by those that can wield it themselves. I think to myself for a moment, doubting that these creatures could produce enough molten rock or flames to actually defeat a hunter with higher mana control. Then again, the whole concept of mana control was alien to me until very recently. Most people never find out about it their entire lives. Danny is most likely clueless when it comes to the higher-ranking hunter's abilities. It's better I don't make too much of a big deal here. Ignorance is bliss. I speak up. Well, I have a fire summoning skill, so I'll be able to withstand their heat, no problem. Then turn to Maria, then back to Danny. She has an ice summoning skill. It's a fairly effective counter to lower-powered fire magic, especially with the extreme level gap. Maria nods proudly, putting both hands on her waist and responding. Yeah, I can handle it. Danny turns to Ari and Abby. The archer is the first to reply to his worried gaze. I don't mind staying back. He turns to me. Jay, you and Maria can handle this one. I don't think it'll be too tough anyways. I give him a firm nod. Abby wipes sweat from her forehead, backing up from the steam-spewing cave. I'll agree with Air on this one. If you want to handle it, by all means, this dungeon is yours. I chuckle, then reply, Great. You two take care of Danny outside. Maria and I will clear this break before you know it. I turn to Maria, watching her start to glow light blue while taking out her long silver sword. Ready. She nods, turning to the cave opening while the ground beneath her feet starts to become covered in ice. Let's do this. We wave the three others off and walk towards the opening of the cave. The light from inside shines bright, but seems to be inching further away every step forward we take. It's almost like the cave itself is begging for us to walk deeper into it. Or maybe there's a creature inside controlling the light. I happily do as it wants, drinking an MP potion and expanding the range of my perception and detection skills. Once Maria and I cross the border and enter the mouth of the rocky tunnel, a lot becomes much more clear to me. At the same time, there's so much more that becomes unknown. My mind's eye starts to fill up with a mapped-out version of the cave system we've just entered. It's like the inside of a scattered and broken ant hill. Twists and turns of narrow tunnels fill my vision. Some lead to dead ends, while others go dark before I can make out where they even lead. Portions of the twisting mazes are blinding me with dense mana readings while others are dead and cold. Out here in the real world, my all-seeing eye and detection skills have a much harder time mapping out my environment. They're efficient at detecting mana. In dungeons, everything is made from mana, so it's easy to see all of my surroundings. Out here in these caves, areas that are lacking mana all seem the same. Dark and undetectable. I whisper under my breath. This may be a bit harder than I initially thought. There are three main large sources of energy that I'm sensing. These must be dungeon entrances. There are over 100 smaller, slow-moving readings. They're most likely monsters that have escaped from the break. There's one, deepest in the cave, that is giving off an incredible amount of energy. This is most likely the heat source and epicenter of the break. I smirk as we come to a crossroads. One path is light while the other is as dark as night. Let's head this way. Maria and I head off to the right, following the yellow-orange glow. Level 250 to 270 salamander mobs line the walls the further in we travel. Easily being able to cut them down with a single slice from our blades, this doesn't slow us down in the slightest. The only problem is, the small amount of light that comes off the base mob's tails is definitely not enough to make the large yellow glow that we're following. The denser mana that is creating it keeps moving further away the closer we get. Maria and I speed up, running through the cave and cutting down mobs at double the pace. The glow we've been following becomes brighter and brighter. Finally, we take a turn and find what we're looking for. Another mutant. Standing before us, glowing yellow and orange, reflecting light off the cave walls. Another mutant salamander stares us down. This one is level 314. Before I even have time to think, it lunges at us and I watch its back begin to glow a much deeper orange hue while dripping molten rock. Maria acts fast and creates a massive wall of ice. The moment the monster makes contact with the blue magic, it quickly encapsulates the entire mutant and smothers out its flame in a matter of seconds. The light that had been illuminating the cave dies down, and we're left in near darkness. The only thing lighting the way is the dim glow of another yellow light at the far end of the tunnel before us. With a loud thud, the body of a frozen solid 4.5-meter-long salamander falls to the floor, blocking our path. Maria hits it with the tip of her sword, and it fractures into hundreds of tiny pieces. To my surprise, there's no fiery explosion. We're also outside of a dungeon, so there's no hope of any rare drops just yet. I speak up while igniting my sword into flames for a butt of light. Well, that makes things a lot easier. We continue forward, following the dim glow of the next mutant salamander. My mind begins to wander. One thing that troubles me as we walk and farm lower-level mobs is the fact that the fire user at the guild yesterday brought in an element stone to sell. I assume he went diving here, but none of the mutants we've faced dropped a thing. Maybe he's strong enough to enter the dungeon. That would be the only explanation. It's the one I'm most hoping for, actually. If that grunt can pull off farming a firestone, then we've struck gold. I wouldn't mind taking home a few stones home myself before we clear the whole break. A grin creeps across my face as we near the first hyperdense energy source on my radar. The tunnels are getting hotter, the light is getting dimmer, and the air is getting denser and denser with mana. Before we turn the next dark corner to see what it is, I turn my head back and call out, "Hey, Maria, how you holding up?" Glowing bright with her magic, she gives me a bright smile. Fine so far. I can tell it's getting hotter, but my ice is blocking it out fine. Good. I think we're about a third of the way there. If I'm not mistaken, there's a dungeon around this bend. It's not the break, but it wouldn't hurt to check it out. We both step around a large pile of hot rubble and defeat 3 lower-level base mobs as we round the bend. My prediction was spot on. We both stop and stare, mesmerized by the sight of a large light blue twisting dungeon entrance portal. Chapter 214. The light blue spinning mass of energy shines bright against the rock wall of the cave. It lets off a barely audible hum. Maria shrugs when she sees it, letting out a sigh, then begins to walk off to where we were initially headed. Not the break. Let's keep going. I throw a hand in the air. Hey, wait a second, don't you want to at least check it out? You never know what's in there. And well, I'd like to set a teleport point in this dungeon too. It's always good to have a backup plan. Maria turns, replying, "Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't even think about that." After this simple agreement, we both jump through the portal. White transport magic brings us to a forest-like dungeon. The grass beneath our feet is thick and lush green. Maria deactivates her intense ice magic, as it's not necessary anymore. I do the same, turning off my flames and looking around curiously. I feel like I've seen a dungeon like this before, but it's been a while. The levels of mana my perception skill picks up tell me this is definitely a low-level dungeon. A mid-level E-class at best. Using enemy detection and inspect, I locate a few monsters between levels 30 and 40. This confirms my E-class suspicions. Before I can let out another word, A group of 4 large wolves comes running straight at us from a heavily wooded area. Maria takes care of them with ease, and I look up to the sky, taking in the beautiful view of trees and rocky hills raised off in the distance. So peaceful here. After recollecting our thoughts and cooling off, we exit back into the steamy cave. It was a nice little break, and I now have my dungeon walker spawn points fixed. So even if we destroy the break, I'll still be able to come back here if need be in the future. Maria reactivates her ice magic, and I burst into a light flicker of dark flames. We walk forth into the twisting maze of tunnels, taking out another 20 base-level mobs before facing another mutant. Again, Maria freezes it solid before the creature can explode like our incident outside. The level 317 breaks into 1,000 tiny pieces as we continue on our way to the next glowing blue portal. The air has already gotten significantly thicker with both hot steam and pure mana. It becomes much more difficult to see the yellow-orange light at the end of the tunnel, but I still have my perception skills to guide the way. After a few more slain mutants and about 5 minutes of walking, the next glowing blue portal comes into full view. We jump through, just to take another rest and get out of the heat. Once we do, I recognize this landscape too. Rolling hills of maroon-colored turned-up dirt, plus the disgusting smell of rotten flesh. The sky is gray, and the air is still. It's silent. A rat dungeon. We both deactivate our elemental magic and take a breather. Maria is red in the face and breathing heavily. We both drink a bottle of water along with MP potions. I speak up after a few seconds. We're almost there. The only dungeon left after this one is the break. No more rest stops. It'll be a lot hotter in there than in the caves we've been trudging through. So be prepared. Maria nods, beginning to glow blue again and turning toward the exit portal. I'm ready. No point in wasting any more time. I pause, finishing a water bottle and throwing it into my item box. You're right. I begin to hear the scratching and clawing sound of teeth and nails digging into the upturned soil. A horde of a few dozen rat mobs, all between levels 120 and 140 approach. The massive, disgusting creatures peek their heads over a nearby dirt mound, and the two of us take it as our cue to leave. We fully activate our elemental magic and hop out of the exit portal nearby before the fight even starts. I whisper under my breath as we leave. 2 successful dungeon detours before the main event. My transport points are set, and we're fully prepared to face the boss. There aren't any crossroads moving forward. It's a single tunnel down to the final point. Light from mutant monsters leads the way as we continue into the twisting underground tunnel. The cave floor has a slight descent, bringing us deeper and deeper underground the further we go. After 5 more mutants and about 100 meters of elevation change further down into the rocky desert cavern, the heat starts to get even more intense. I'm wiping sweat from my arms and face every few seconds. Maria is blasting her ice magic with much more intensity as well. White steam makes it hard to see even 5 meters ahead, and my lungs feel like they're being cooked from the inside out with every breath. I'm able to regenerate my minor injuries with ease, and there have been no complaints from the ice mage behind me yet, so we continue moving forward. Finally, the distant glow of yellow light from the mutants we slaughter one by one begins to turn red. The mana density also spikes drastically as we round another narrow bend. Finally, we found it. The cave walls around us start to vibrate the closer we get. The floor beneath my feet rumbles, sending vibrations through my whole body at the same frequency as the now pulsing red light that gets brighter and brighter with every step. The hot steam filling the air gets thicker, making full breaths close to impossible without breathing in fragments of burning cave matter. We continue forward until the anomaly I've been searching for comes into full view. A full-fledged dungeon break. I've never seen one quite like this. The cave floor rattles and shakes. I can physically see hot white steam pouring out of the blood-red mass of energy spinning in front of us. It's over 4 meters in diameter, and the edges flicker and pulse. The sour smell of sulfur fills the air, and I hear Maria cough behind me while I stare into the twisting red void. My skin feels just like it did burning out in the hot desert sun, but all I feel is the excitement of a new adventure ahead. I turn back to the ice user as she tightens the grip on her sword, giving me a nod. Flickering with dark red flames, I jump through and Maria follows. White transfer magic fills my vision, and I instantly feel the heat around me multiply many times over. What felt like an intense sunburn moments ago now turns into the distinct feeling of sizzling flesh. I immediately activate my self-regeneration skill while increasing the output of my mana to fuel my flames, combating the invasive heat. As my vision attempts to come back into full focus, all I see is red. The hard rock floor below me shakes and rumbles much more violently, while the buzz of mana in the air has not left my ears. Blinking a few times, the landscape eventually makes itself very clear. I raise my head to see a massive volcano before my eyes. Over 2 kilometers high, it's the only thing visible in this entire dungeon. The monstrous structure is made of jet black rock, and behind it is an even darker, ominous sky. The rock beneath my feet slopes upwards at a slight incline. The slope increases the further up the mountain I look, making it easy to stand here, but rather steep when taking into account the entire peak. The further up I look, the more outlandish the sight before me becomes. Portions of the sloped rock walls are cracked with magma flowing out. Huge clouds of white steam fill the air, and the dungeon crawls with flaming salamanders eyeing us from the crevices of molten stone. Crimson lava trickles down from the top of the high volcanic structure, and tunnels are being carved out by the hot molten material flowing down. I sense a massive increase in mana output behind me, then turn to watch Maria putting out a new intense royal blue aura. I've never seen her use this level of magic before. Steam is coming off the ice she summons at an astounding rate, but the look of determination on her face tells me she's dead set on following me into this battlefield. As I look back up at the volcano above, 3 mutants come charging down at us. They're levels 322, 317, and 315. Their flaming tails and backs match the color of the lava flowing down from behind them. All 6 beady eyes, dark as night, are locked onto us with intent to kill. We respond by jumping into action as well. With a flash of white, blue, and red light, it's all over in an instant. Maria takes the 2 monsters that attack up front while I swerve off to the left side to take care of an irregular mutant that stays about 30 meters behind. Even in this extreme sweltering heat, Maria can still freeze the approaching monster solid before they're able to even think about a counter. Satisfied, knowing Maria can fend for herself, I focus on the mutant I've run off to face. From a safe distance, about 25 meters away now, I let a mana-imbued fire strike fly. On impact, just like before, the mutant explodes into a display of molten rock and flames. I use my earth summoning skill on the floor below me to create a black stone just in case, but the aftermath of its self-destruct feature doesn't reach me. It looks like 15 meters or so is its total blast radius. I walk over to the crater of molten rock left over by this mutant's defeat, and my eyes light up at item drop floating on the surface of the lava pool by my feet. A firestone. Chapter 215. I use my telekinesis skill to lift the firestone from the bubbling pit of molten rock. It's crackling and flaming with intense heat, but not nearly as powerful as the 2 stones I've encountered in the past. There's also a bright pink mana crystal floating by its side. I've never tried melting one since I was a much lower level, but it appears they're heat-resistant even to molten rock. I chuckle and lift it out of the small lava pool with my skill as well. I place the flaming stone along with the pink gem into my item storage, then turn to see Maria running my way. Her royal blue tint is giving on an intense low-pitched hum, and she drinks another MP potion on the run over. The ice mage is definitely exerting a lot of energy to combat this heat. I'm profusely sweating and the air burns my skin and lungs, but it's only mildly irritating. I'm used to the heat and have been through much worse. My mana-imbued flames ward off the natural heat in the air, pushing outside and fire magic residue away. The minor burns I'm receiving are healed with self-regeneration magic. I can handle this all day. Maria's mana-imbued protective layer of ice magic seems to be holding up fine in the meantime as well. We continue to climb the volcano, passing wide gaps in the stone floor that leads down to bubbling pits of lava and fire below. Many base level and mutant mobs come at us, spewing flames and throwing hot and melted rocks from their bodies. Some even use the dungeon's surroundings as natural weapons. The level gap between us is too great. They're all taken down in an instant. We make our way upwards for about 30 minutes straight, winding through portions of the fiery mountain that aren't covered in lava. I airstep over larger pools that can't be avoided, while Maria freezes solid pathways to walk across when necessary. Her ice melts quickly, but it stays in a crystal state for long enough that she can make it across with ease. The air up here is thicker with hot steam, forcing me to use more of my fire magic to block out the heat. I even activate mana manipulation to imbue my own makeshift mana shielding. It's been something that's been itching at the back of my head for a while, and now is the perfect time to try it out. I let pure mana seep from my body, similar to the way I've watched monsters activate their shielding. In doing so, it creates a thin, yet dense layer of pink magic underneath my blanket of dark red flames. Instantly, the hot pressure from the outside world vanishes. I almost feel cool. The heat hardly makes it through. With a clearer mind, I activate my all-seeing eye to scope out the environment in much greater detail. Dense magic fills the entire dungeon, and it all seems to be coming from the top of the mountain. We continue towards the source of the power. Mobs aren't the problem at all, they're quite easy to fend off actually. I've collected 4 firestones in total so far. Every 20 seconds or so, I see Maria drinking another MP potion. Her ice is sizzling away into steam seconds after it's summoned. She doesn't have the advanced mana control and extra abilities that I do. This isn't sustainable long-term, but she isn't complaining. The tunnels from downward flowing lava streams have carved out tube-like paths down the mountainside, making oddly shaped winding trails down the volcanic rock face. Steam from above has a harder time settling in these crevices, but monsters love them. There are more item drops and less heat. It's the best of both worlds. We travel through these tunnels for the last portion of our trek. After another 30 minutes of climbing and farming monsters pass, I collect 3 more element stones and a large pile of mana crystals. We finally break through the thick layer of steam-filled clouds to reach the flaming mountain's peak. The sounds of crackling fire and bubbling molten rock pits are no more. The crumbling stones and slithering monsters are completely out of sight and mind. I step onto a narrow, flat surface, then gaze down into a deep pit below. It looks as if it falls all the way to the dungeon floor. An incredibly large pool of liquid dungeon mass glows dark red below. Hot air flows up, making it hard to look over the edge for too long. We stand on a thin ring of black stone that stretches all the way around the mouth of a silent volcano. From edge to edge, the mouth of this volcanic mountain looks to be about 50 meters wide. On the far side, I can see exactly what we came for. The boss room portal. Spinning slowly on the far side of the massive gaping hole, I see a jet black portal. When my eyes meet with it, and my perception skill examines its contents, the mana density rating is much higher than it should be. Most boss rooms tend to be tinted light gray, and some breaks or mutant bosses have been darker gray in the past, but this one is as dark as night. It's black. The monster behind that portal is going to be a lot stronger than the monster out here. I was confused as to why this break was rated a higher danger level than the first. Now it's starting to make much more sense. I grip my blade and turn to the right, starting to carefully make my way along the narrow edge of the volcanic rim. Maria follows close behind. No steam or visible magic comes up from the hot pit of molten rock below. It just sits in silence. Every time I peer down into it, the entire dungeon feels like it's staring back at me. Magic fills the air, but I hardly hear a buzz. All I can really seem to focus on is the twisting black mass of mana at the other side of the volcano's mouth. We inch closer. The only sound that reaches my ears is Maria's footsteps a few paces behind me. We completely circle the entire volcano's pit without speaking a word and make it to the other side. The portal ominously spins, letting out waves of invisible, non-detectable magic by any normal sense. It's only perceivable to me. It doesn't let out a sound, and there's no dungeon matter being spewed from it like the entrance to this break. It's just a dense black hole of mass, waiting for us to step through. The closer we approach, the more I expect to feel extreme heat come off of the portal, but it never does. It just slowly spins and waits for us to enter. We come to a full stop 5 meters away. I speak up while strengthening my makeshift mana manipulation-fueled shielding and gripping my sword. "You ready?" The ice mage gulps behind me, responding in a low tone. "I think so. There's only one way to find out." On that note, we both jump through. The eerie silence put us both on high alert, but there's no reason not to enter. We came here to face the mutant boss and clear the break, so that's what we'll do. The moment my hand touches the dark black portal, I feel the temperatures rise to an alarming degree, even through my shielding. Out of instinct, I instantly increase the output of my mana manipulation to nearly full blast, but continue to jump all the way through and let the white transfer magic light take me in without hesitating. The pressure of incredibly hot and dense fire magic fills all of my senses. I have to concentrate with a large portion of my mana control to keep this thin pink layer of mana around me beneath my flames. Heat seeps through, burning the skin on my arms and legs, but I adjust the thickness of the mana that seeps out to counteract the breaking points. The boss room finally comes into view as I get better control of my defenses. I look around and confirm it's just like most other boss rooms. A flat, rocky surface with walls around the far edges a few hundred meters out in all directions. The only difference here is that it seems we're on a melting island of rock. The center is made of the same black stone material as the volcano we just left. The further out that I look onto our new battlefield, the lighter and lighter the rock's color becomes. It turns from black stone to red, then orange, and eventually melts completely yellow and white. All of the outer edges are melting away, slowly dissolving the platform we stand on. The floor rumbles. Then I see half a dozen 7-meter-long mutant salamanders crawl out from the bubbling pools of magma from all sides. Our boss room battle has begun. Chapter 216. I slowly turn around, taking in my surroundings from all directions. The air ripples and bends from the incredible heat, making it near impossible to see without the aid of my perception skills. The intense royal blue glow by my side from Maria shines brighter than I've ever seen before. Waves of fire-imbued magic force their way through her defenses, constantly inching closer to burn her skin. But the ice mage pushes onwards, digging deep into mana stores and used in any past battles. Even without the level of mana control I possess, or the mana manipulation skill, Maria manages to withstand the heat. She does have nearly double the natural mental strength attitude of a normal hunter, and she's about the same level as me. Considering her stat-boosting gear as well, her magic power may be stronger than mine right now. Although Maria is burning through a full MP potion every 10 seconds, it looks like she'll stand this boss room just fine. That's the least of our worries, though. Coming up from the bubbling pit of lava on all sides, I watch half a dozen 7-meter-long mutant salamanders emerge all around us. I turn, now standing back to back with Maria. There's no exit portal in boss rooms like this, so we're all alone, standing on a black circle battlefield of stone. The two of us are about to face the final wave of mutants, then take on the master of this dungeon. The hard ground beneath my feet shakes as the group of flaming salamanders walks onto my side of the ring. There are 3 more that approach on the opposite end, eyeing Maria down with the same amount of pure killing intent. I scan the trio in front of me to see what exactly I'll be facing. I only let my gaze shift across their levels and skills. LV 395, LV 391, LV 389. Active skills: combat magic, advanced fire summoning. I grip my sword, holding the mana control output of my makeshift shield steady, and increase the intensity of the dark flames that surround my body. Then, speak to Maria as the ground starts to shift and crack as the mutants approach. Whatever you do, do not get hit by their flames. It's an advanced version of the fire magic. It doesn't go out easily. One hit could be fatal. She nods. Understood. I wasn't planning on getting hit anyways. We both run forward, separating from each other, charging our blades, and getting ready to face the mutants that crawl towards us from nearly 70 meters away on both sides. This plan quickly turns sour, After taking just a few steps away from the center of the battlefield, my heart skips a beat. This can't be real. I swallow hard, gasping for air as the temperature drastically rises. I stop running forward at once. I've barely made it 10 meters and this heat has tripled its intensity. I feel the burning hot pressure on my forearms and shins where my mana shielding is the weakest. After a moment of hesitation, I take another step forward. The intense heat that's closing in on me breaks through my shielding, searing the top layer of my skin instantly. I let out a grunt and jump backward, meeting Maria breathing heavily while kneeling down on one knee. For a moment we stare at each other with the same concerned and disoriented look on our faces. My gaze immediately shifts to analyze our surroundings. There's no time for concern. She gulps. Impossible. It's too hot. I nod, looking around and healing my minor burns while salamanders continue to approach slowly. The hard black rock beneath their feet cracks and breaks away, so that every time they take a step more fragments of the small island we stand on fall into the molten pit of rock we float on. I close my eyes and think, then speak. Stand up and get ready. We may not be able to make it far out into the dungeons, but we can still fight them once they come into our territory. Maria nods, replying, I can withstand the heat until about 10 meters out from the center. Any further and I can't combat the heat. I nod. Same, 10 meters is my comfort point. I could make it further out if I push myself, but we haven't even seen the boss yet. It's best not to put ourselves at risk until necessary. We'll let them come to us. The mutants waste no time in crawling across the hard rock, making their move. At nearly 50 meters away, I charge up my blade to roughly 1000 MP. An attack at nearly half my entire MP bar. The mutants outside weren't proficient in mana control in the slightest. These creatures are nearing level 400, so I wouldn't be surprised if they summon some kind of shielding. As my attack flies through the air, my prediction becomes a reality. I watch the first mutant up front activate a layer of shielding, but my thin blade of mana-imbued fire slices right through without a hint of resistance. A thin red line appears across the monster's neck as it's decapitated on the spot. Its entire body begins to glow yellow and orange while molten rock leaks from its back. The mana blade continues to fly, missing the second salamander entirely, but slicing an arm off the third without a sound. The blade is not disrupted at all. It just soars off into the distance. Before I can watch it make contact with the dungeon wall, the first mutant I beheaded explodes into a fiery molten display. It's much more impressive than the others outside, making a blast radius of nearly 30 meters. It covers its counterparts in hot molten rock. They don't seem to be affected, and continue to charge forward. Even the monster missing a limb runs at me like nothing happened. Dripping with yellow and orange rock, and staining the jet-black battlefield with their trails of liquid stone, the two monsters stare ahead at me and charge. I let out another attack with the same amount of power, slicing the closet monster in two. It explodes just like the last, glowing bright yellow for a fraction of a second before its demise. Once the flames and molten debris clear, I let out another, defeating the final mutant before it gets any closer. It erupts into a display that shows my victory is final. With a grin, I turn to watch Maria. The approaching mutants aren't injured at all yet. She just stares ahead, with her eyes locked on the monsters. I think about asking if I should step in, but the determination on her face tells me otherwise. I watch intently, staying on high alert, ready to defend myself if necessary. She whispers under her breath, "Stand back and shield yourself. I can handle them." I do as she wishes and take a few steps backward until the heat from the Dunegon becomes uncomfortable. I'm at the outer edge of our miniature safe zone. The three massive mutant mobs come charging at her in an erratic fashion while Maria stands completely still watching them crack the ground, flooding more and more lava onto the slowly sinking battlefield. Only 5 seconds pass, but it feels like minutes in my eyes. The ice mage glows darker and darker in the royal blue tone from before. Her sword glows and hums with mana-imbued ice magic. Finally, the three beasts come within the 10-meter radius that we can handle moving around in. Maria makes her move, The ground beneath the mage's feet starts to turn white and blue. The flames of the dungeon aren't strong enough to fend off the cold at the rate of her ice magic being summoned. The monsters come closer, all coming together with open mouths and heavy limbs reaching forward. Then, Maria lets out her full-powered attack. A massive thick crescent of white, baby blue, and dark royal blue energy all twist together to make a buzzing high-powered attack. It's not refined magic by any means, but it's more than enough power to get the job done. That's for sure. It impacts the first monster's head fractions of a second later, exploding into a massive ball of mana, fire, rock, and ice. I activate my earth summoning skill to create a barrier imbued with mana to block out the incoming debris. Maria created a dome of ice around herself. I hear massive chunks of monster parts and molten rocks fall from the sky as I shield myself from the gore-filled mess above. After the distant cries of dying monsters fade, and the room falls silent again, I lift my cover. The ground is covered in flesh and red-hot rocks. Maria's dome of ice slowly melts away and she reveals herself to be unharmed. We both stare off into the burning abyss of black and red flames with smiles across our faces. I lean over to her with a whisper. Not bad at all. Immediately after these words leave my lips, I feel the floor beneath our feet rumble again. The edge of the island we stand on begins to crack and crumble away at an alarming rate. I watch one side of it begin to raise. It looks like an enormous ball is lifting out of the lava pool. Then, the rock fragments fall away to reveal what is really underneath. I see it. The head of an enormous beast peeks out of the lava pit below, covered in jet-black skin matching the color of the rock we stand on. With fiery red eyes leaking dense mana, it locks its gaze onto me from across the entire room. I feel a shock wave of energy hit me at once. It's a familiar feeling. I grit my teeth and bear the intrusive sensation while inspecting and appraising the monster that lurks deep beneath us. LV 449. Active items. Skin of the volcanic salamander plus 80% mental strength plus 80% fire magic resistance. Active skills. Intimidation. Combat magic. Advanced fire summoning. Chapter 217. The mutant boss peeks out from the bubbling lava pit that surrounds us. All that's visible are its bright red eyes, jagged white teeth, and scaly black skin. The island we stand on rumbles and shifts. Portions of the rocky floor begin to fracture and flood the island with even more molten rock. The cracks are inching closer, threatening to collapse the entire area we stand on at any given moment. As I stare into the lurking monster's deep red eyes, I feel the intense waves of its intimidation skill running through my body. Unlike its underlings, this boss monster has what seems like hard-scaled skin. It's shiny and as black as the rocks we stand on. I don't back down. With a steady grip on my sword, I keep my mana shielding activated on full blast, with a veil of dark flames around my full body. I stare back at the beast, sending a wave of intimidation back at it. The boss lifts its head completely out from the lava. Molten rock drips from its mouth and rolls off its scales. The monster looks terrifying. It wouldn't hesitate for a moment to end us if it gets the chance. I haven't been this excited in a while. The head of the beast keeps rising out from the pool of molten rock. Over 5 meters and still moving upward before it places its first front leg on the island with an earth-shaking stomp. A long, fracturing line of broken stone moves straight at us. It looks like it'll crack the entire island in two. Thankfully, it stops about 20 meters from the monster's front leg, but another fracture appears once the monster lifts its second limb onto the island. Glowing hot molten mass spews off in all directions and the massive mutant salamander lets out a roar. The deep bellowing sound it lets out, followed by an ear-shattering shriek, fills the air, echoing off the edges of the boss room and seemingly getting louder and louder. It fully climbs onto the arena we stand to show off its full form. A 12-meter-long dark-as-night creature from hell, glowing with a murderous red aura. Its mouth leaks with hot molten rock, and I can feel every step it takes as it sends shockwaves through the island floor. Without a second to waste, The monster opens its mouth and spews an attack full of flames, or at least what I thought were flames. A long 3-meter wide beam of glowing dark red and orange light comes flying directly at us. As the wave of blood-red magic rockets toward us, I realize it's pure mana-imbued molten stone. Also, it's very fast. I turn, locking eyes with Maria and following her to my left side to jump out of the way and dodge. Overwhelming heat fills my senses and my mana shielding is fried straight through the moment the massive beam of red-orange mass comes whizzing by. The attack misses me by about 3 meters. It was only for a fraction of a second, but my entire right arm, side, and back are covered in severe burns. Maria was much further from the blast, but her arm and leg are severely injured too. Both of us fall to the floor, but quickly stand to get our footing again. We face the monster with no fear, about 60 meters away from us. Maria drinks an MP and HP potion while I heal my side and think of a plan. I try to take a few steps forward, but the heat is too much. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, I feel the ground shake. On the other side of the island, 6 more mutants between levels 385 and 400 appear. I reach into my item storage to grab a strengthening fragment out of instinct. I need more power, and I need it now. I grit my teeth and murmur under my breath. But there has to be another way. Although it may get the job done, there's a potential that I'll be out of commission for a few days if I try anything too rash here. Boosting my power once usually leads to doing it many times over without thinking about the consequences once I get started. If only. As the underlings of the boss step onto the platform behind me, I watch the boss charge up another one of its attacks. An idea clicks in my head. I let go of the shiny black fragment and grab the clear crystal core of the golem boss I defeated yesterday. This will work. I put my sword away into the item box around my waist, betting it all on my new plan. The crystal-clear round orb glistens in the fiery light of the boss room dungeon as I hold it up between my line of sight and the mutant boss before me. I drink an MP potion and speak.
Mana Manipulation.
Use Advanced Mana Manipulation. Advanced perk. Temporary minion. Enter desired level. 0 to 423. Yes. No. Level 423. Yes. Pink strings of energy come off of my fingertips and begin to pour into the clear ball. I let go of it and stand back. Maria yells out, "What's that? Can we take this boss on?" I dash. I concentrate, cutting her off with a stern look while focusing on the intense amount of mana leaving my body to merge with the floating crystal ball. Still, I mutter out a reply. Take out the approaching mutants and cover me from behind. I'll finish this boss and cover your back as well. Trust me. Not another word needs to be spoken. I let my flames die down and solely focus mana on a thin layer of shielding around my body. The rest is channeled into the now brightly pink glowing orb. I grin as I feel the temporary minion perk fully activate. My mind's eye connects to the orb. I'm in full control. The rocky ground below begins to crack and mold into liquid stone, to come up and meet the floating pink orb in the air. It forms into a ball of rock that looks like a large black boulder levitating above the dungeon floor. Then 2 arms and 2 legs form. The massive boulder grows and grows while the shape of a humanoid stone golem forms in its place. With 2 loud thuds, its feet hit the ground. A 6-meter-tall golem boss made of hot black stone stands in front of me like an ominous, impenetrable barrier. Its eyes glow pink, and I control its every move. I make the marionette of a golem let out a battle cry and begin to charge forward. It effortlessly moves through the portion of boss room too hot for me to handle. The salamander boss reacts by releasing its charged-up attack of flames. I intend to take the brutal blow head-on, concentrating on creating a dense layer of shielding similar to the one on my actual body. I drink another MP potion to fuel my power. It's done with ease. The body of this golem was able to summon shielding when I fought it, meaning so can its manipulated clone. Just with my own personal twist. A buzzing pink layer of makeshift shielding appears over the entire front half of the golem as the spiraling molten rock attack comes rocketing at it. The golem and the fire collide. My minion doesn't budge, keeps moving forward. The loud twang of mana on mana colliding rings out and lava spews off to both sides of the jet-black golem. A magnificent sight follows. I watch molten stones splash off to both sides and settle into pools on the island floor. Portions of my rock golem are melted away where the shielding was weakest, but only 10% of its mass at most. I just concentrate harder and summon more rock from beneath its feet to heal the minor wounds. The golem took on its full-powered attack head-on and didn't back down for a second. The salamander boss lets out an angry roar and finally makes its move. The beast takes a step toward us. I can hear the first clash of Maria and the mutants from behind me. I'm putting my full trust in her, as she's put her trust in me. The clash between my minion of stone and the dungeon's mutant boss has begun. Chapter 218. As the golem trudges forward, it takes hit after hit from the salamander's molten attacks. Hot lava spews out after every impact, staining the battlefield with hot red-orange mass. I continue to drink MP potions and heal its wounds. Losing parts of an arm or a leg after every blow, the golem moves forward without flinching. It only costs me minor MP stores that can be restored with ease, while the salamander that's attacking is becoming more irritated by the second. The ground beneath the golem's feet is getting much hotter and more unstable with every new attack thrown. As it nears the outer edge of the island, more large cracks and lava pools become common in its path. Its feet land into hot molten mass with almost every step. This slows it down but also heats up the average temperature of the rock that forms its body. As my jet-black minion takes in more mass from its environment, it starts to glow red-hot the closer it gets to the mutant boss. Every hit the minion takes from the fiery blast, the less effective it becomes. Once over 40 meters away from me, and less than 30 meters from the boss, the golem is made almost entirely of molten stone. It's highly malleable and even easier to imbue mana into. This isn't what I planned for, but has turned out even better than I'd hoped. I see the eyes of the salamander boss widen as the molten golem approaches. It's visibly surprised, having never encountered lava that fights back. I smirk, shifting both of the golem's arms into bladed edges mimicking the form of a very fierce floor boss opponent I faced in the past. The glowing red-orange arms of the golem shine with a glossy finish as I cover them in the densest layer of mana shielding I can muster from this distance. Less than 15 meters away now, I launch the golem into the air with both blades poised at the salamander's neck. Another blast of molten rock comes flying out to hit my minion head-on at full power. With dense pink mana shielding focused solely on the minion's bladed arms, this is enough to slice clean through the incoming attack without a problem. The golem's unguarded lower half is stripped away by hot debris and destroyed in the blast. It doesn't matter right now. I keep my eyes on the prize. Not slowing down for a moment, the top half of my golem flies through the air, upwards, and lands 2 devastating hits on the monster's tough black-scaled neck. A white flash of light blinds me momentarily and is followed by the murderous roar of the heavily injured beast. It evolves into a loud shriek and the entire island shakes and rumbles. 2 deep slashes can be seen in its neck, cutting almost all the way through. If I just had a little more power, I would have killed it right then and there. It knows this too. Ignoring the top half of the molten golem as it falls to the floor, the mutant shifts its glowing red gaze toward me. I feel another wave of intimidation, but it only makes me focus on the fight more. I'll end this here and now. Its mouth begins to glow red, orange, and yellow as it prepares to send a final desperate attack at me, its actual enemy. I can't let that happen. As the injured golem touches the floor, my strands of mana manipulation glow and hum. I channel all of my remaining MP into the body of stone as it rebuilds its lower half, making its full form able to fight again. Forming a layer around its arms of blades again, I have the minion run forward just like before. The boss lets out its attack. Well, it tries to. The dual gashes in its throat from earlier gush out with molten rock. Its attempts to shoot at me backfires, covering its black-scaled body in man-imbued lava. Simultaneously, my golem jumps for its neck, ignoring the flying debris of flaming stone and finishing the cut from its last attack. The monster's head is sliced clean off. It flies up in the air, spinning a few times before falling into the pit of lava behind it. The body of the mutant boss collapses to the cracked fiery floor with a loud thud. Then I start to see it glow bright yellow. The black scales, now growing brighter and brighter, expand outwards and my eyes open with shock. I know exactly what is about to happen next. While summoning a wall of rock to block the incoming blast, I hear Maria finishing off a final attack on the mutant mobs behind me. I hear explosions of fire and molten stone. They're followed by the wall of ice that protects me from the aftermath of her finishing blow. Then, the ear-shattering eruption of flames follows on my side of the battlefield. Our magic stone and ice combine together to form a dome. We both kneel on the floor, focusing on keeping our magic steady as the world around us explodes into chaos. Then, moments later, it all stops. We won. The room falls silent. The violent shaking beneath our feet and against the walls protecting us stops. I let out a long sigh, and a grin creeps across my face as a familiar ringing tone fills my ears. Level up. Level up. I check my status to see I've hit level 425, then simultaneously hear Maria's cheerful voice behind me yell out. All right, level 400, finally. We release our magic and the dome around us fades and crumbles. Before I can turn around to congratulate her, something else catches my eye. The fragments of black scales and molten mass that remain from the boss body start to dissolve away. Wanting to pick up the loot, I reflexively try to walk forward, but the air is still too thick and hot. My golem was torn to pieces in the blast, but I quickly reform it from the charged core. It picks through the hot rubble and I watch through its vision in my mind's eye until I see two items on the floor. There's a large pink stone and a dark red fabric. I reach down and pick them both up with the golem's hands and bring them over to us quickly, knowing the transfer magic could trigger at any moment. Seconds later, my golem approaches and drops the items to my feet. I deactivate the minion perk and the hot stone collapses to the floor. I grab the empty crystal core along with the mana crystal and the odd fabric. Then white magic fills my vision. Just in time, the entire Dun-Egon fades away. Both Maria and I are left in a dark cave. Instantly, the walls and floor are covered with ice, and I activate my flames to counteract the extreme cold. Maria shouts out, "Sorry, sorry." I laugh while she deactivates her magic and I keep a small flicker of flames activated to light up the cave. No problem. We made. Another break cleared. 2 down, 4 to go. I nod as Maria stares at me, then down to the fabric in my hands. Oh, a mutant drop? What is it? What is it? I lift up the heavy fabric, then activate appraisal. Salamander King's cloak, plus 80% mental strength, plus 80% fire magic resistance. I grin and reply, 80% added mental strength and fire resistance. Pretty good drop. Along with the 7 firestones from mutants we farmed, that's one of the best loot dungeons we faced, probably ever. On that note, we begin walking back up the dark cave tunnels. It's much cooler now. Some residue heat remains, but neither of us has to use any magic skills to block it out. We're back into the normal non-magical temperature range. We agree to divide the loot later, but I hold on to it for now. The walk back up to the surface takes about half an hour. After passing the 2 remaining stable dungeons, we finally make it to the surface. As we start to walk out from the mouth of the cave, I hear an oddly familiar voice arguing with my teammates. The fire-wielding hunter from the mercenary guild that we happened to pass by last night yells out in a stern tone. "What are you outsiders doing messing with my dungeon? I don't want to see your kind around here anymore. Get lost before something bad happens to ya." As soon as I hear him, I step out of the cave with Maria by my side. I see Ari standing in front of Danny and the camels with his arms crossed and a bored look on his face. Abby is butting heads with the arrogant grunt. She's grinning ear to ear, having a great time watching the fire user get red in the face. She's been antagonizing him for fun while waiting for us to return. The hunter notices our arrival and faces us as we step out of the cave. "Oh great, there's more. Looks like I'm going to have to teach all of ya a lesson." Chapter 219. Oh great, there's more. Looks like I'm going to have to teach all of you a lesson. The hunter with a fire aptitude that I saw earlier in the mercenary guild is out here in the desert, most likely looking to get his hands on another firestone to sell. I walk closer to see him turn to me with a snide grin. His slicked-back dark hair glimmers in the sunlight and muscles budge from his tight black shirt. He's taller than me by a few centimeters. This hunter may look strong, but all four of us outlevel him by a large amount. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. The man scoffs, rudely pushing Abby to the side and puffing out his chest to walk over, making steady eye contact and beginning to ignite his right hand on fire. Ag, it's you from the guild. I remember you. You know what? I'll beat all of you so bad you'll never show your faces in town again. How would you like dash? Before he can finish his sentence, the fire user stops in place and bites his bottom lip. Hey, what the dash? The rocky sand around his ankles begins to twist and mold up his legs, making him unable to step any closer to me. I grin as I see the angry earth magic wielder with bright green hair standing behind him. She has a stern expression across her face. The rock she's controlling slides up the man's legs and starts to cover his torso as well. His expression turns grim and sweat falls from his forehead as he bursts into flames while trying to escape. Abby walks over to the wide-eyed hunter, standing in front of the now half-petrified body of rock. The man yells out again with a shakier, but still confident tone. What is all this? You're an element wielder? You dash. He pauses, gulps, then rolls his eyes while the corner of his lips begin to curl upwards. You all must be from the association, that's it, right? Oh, you're in for it now. He squirms, trying to break free, but the stone keeps rising up his body. It's now covering half of his torso. Abby now stands in front of the man, looking him straight in the face. I don't like being pushed around. What was that you said earlier? You were going to teach us a lesson. She smirks, stopping the rising stone just before his neckline. He lets out an audible sigh of relief but also looks pale in the face. Abby steps forward. Come on, at least start with your name. Who are you? What are you doing farming these dungeons without even trying to clear the breaks? The villages around here are clearly suffering from your actions. He gulps. Hey, it's Isaac. This is just how it is around here. I didn't start the breaks. I'm just taking advantage of an opportunity given to me. And no harm done. He stutters at the last line, looking up in the air as Abby summons a thin spear of rock in her right hand. Also, what was that you said about the association? How'd you know we were from outside the walls? He smirks, then makes a facial expression like he's about to spit. Abby doesn't flinch for a second and kicks his left leg at the knee. I hear a loud crack and don't have to look down to realize it's not only the stone that broke. The fire user lets out a grunt, ignoring the pain and looking forward with the same dumb smirk on his face. I've got nothing to lose, girl. I either live another day out in these flats, or I meet my demise just like everyone else that was abandoned by your leaders. Abby squints, unhappy with his reaction. The grunt continues. Ah, the four of you are heading north, aren't you? You'll never make it into Dry Rock looking like that, and without a guide to get you in? Who do you think you are? Abby tightens her lips, then looks down at the cracks in the stone around his left leg that gushes blood. She replies while reaching her hand into the item box around her waist, taking out our map. She shoves the paper in Isaac's face, pointing to the middle section. In between the next two breaks, there's a small town noted down with 3 black question marks scribbled around it. Is this where you're talking about? Is this Dry Rock? He goes quiet for a moment, then responds. It is. After he lets out a laugh. Danny walks over, waving at the green-haired mage. If you're really going to Dry Rock, and if you're really association hunters, well, he's right. You'll never make it inside those walls. Or you may never even find the walls. I start to walk over now, curious to know what exactly is going on here. Maria follows and Ari takes a few steps forward as well. We all crowd around the captured fire hunter and he lets out another bellowing laugh. Oh, you four crack me up. The association has lower standards than I imagined. sending out clueless uniformed scouts like yourselves to fix the problems they caused. I raise an eyebrow, then walk closer to stand face to face with the grunt. Well, if we can't get in without a guide, I guess you'll have to show us the way. He rolls his eyes and throws his head back. What's in it for me? I dash. He's cut off by Abby kicking his leg again. He grunts, gritting his teeth, staring straight ahead at me to continue after a slow inhale and exhale. There's no worse fate than being outed as an association's ally out here, you know. They have bounties on the heads of those who are known supporters of the association. It's even worse if you're an actual partner of the association like all of you. If you're big shots, they might even have your face on the most wanted lists. The further into the wall, the worse it gets. I tighten my gaze, then respond. Sure, there are risks, but you'll do it for a price. His arrogant grin gets wider as he nods. I like you. I nod, not wasting a second. So name it. What do you want? He pauses, looking up at the desert sky, then back down to me. Those two X's on the map around Dry Rock. They're breaks, aren't they? I don't respond, but he continues. Let me collect the bounties on each of them. I heard one of the breaks is in the middle of the town, the other is further northeast. In return, I'll get you into the city. I'm well acquainted with one of the guards at the west gate. We do business. I give him a firm nod, then turn to the rest of my team. I shrug, letting out a sigh. I believe him. No reason for the guy to lie about something like this. While my teammates think of their responses, I turn to Danny. You won't say a word, will ya? I see the small hunter visibly gulp, then reply. Of course not. I had my suspicions that you were from the association, but you all seem to be fine people. I have no qualms with the government outside the wall. I'm not one to judge. He looks over to Isaac, then back to me. As he said, many of us further from Solara are very open to the idea of association help. Or, well, not entirely opposed to it, I guess. Once you make it to Dry Rock and beyond, this desert turns into a much different place. Ari chimes in. It's a good idea. He walks closer. I was hoping the breaks were outside of the town so we could camp out away from the site. It seems we'll need a guide if one of the breaks is really in the center of town. I vote yes. Maria nods. Seems this is the only way. It's a yes from me. I turn to Abby. She doesn't say a word, so I speak. I vote yes, and you can keep him in line if you'd like. Just heal that leg. There's no need to torture him. He was just doing what he felt was right. The way of the desert, I suppose. She rolls her eyes, but agrees, turning to Isaac. It's a yes from me. No funny business, though. You're under my watch. He gives her a look of fear for a split second, then reverts to his toughened carefree state. Fine by me. Now get me out of this damn earth magic. I'll take the 4 of you to Dry Rock so I can get paid. Chapter 220. Fine by me. Now get me out of this damn earth magic. I'll take the 4 of you to Dry Rock so I can get paid. Abby nods at me, then turns to Isaac as the stone around his neck starts to melt away, revealing his torso, then flowing off his legs back into the sandy earth. The green-haired mage heals his leg, making it as good as new. I get a weird sensation as she activates her healing magic. It tingles throughout my body even from over 5 meters away and buzzes with an extremely high-pitched tone. It's definitely much different in its upgraded form. It is a legendary skill, after all. There must be something very special about it now. I think for a moment, but shrug it off as my thoughts are interrupted by the excited cry of the fire wielder. Ho-hoo! It feels good to move again. He moves his arms and legs around while turning off his fire magic. You 4 really are association, what do they call them again? The special squads that are chosen every year. I forgot the name. Those are you guys, right? Maria proudly nods. MMMHMPH. That's us. The new elites. I flinch as she just outed and confirmed exactly who we are. But the ice wielder crosses her arms and beams with delight as the fire user looks down at his fully restored leg in awe. He's not paying much attention to Maria right now. I thought I'd be limping for weeks. He lets out a chuckle, but it turns into more of a nervous laugh as all four of us walk forward to surround him. I look the man in the eyes, then let out a sigh. All right, let's keep this all business. I know we may have started off on the wrong foot, but there's no hard feelings from me. You get us into Dry Rock, we take out the brakes, you collect the bounties, and we never speak of this again. I nod. It's that simple. You don't want to be associated with us, and we don't want to be associated with you. He looks up at me. Perfect. Just how I like it. We shake hands, then I turn to my teammates. Got it? I want to fight some monsters, get stronger, and find rare loot. That's it. There's no need for any unnecessary attention from locals in this next town. Let's keep our heads down and get the mission done. I get a unanimous agreement, then turn to Danny, putting out my right hand. Pleasure doing business with you too. I hope your people can return to the village unharmed. He smiles, shaking my hand. Most certainly. With this break gone, the water sources should come back within a few days. It, may have just been a mission for you, but I'm very grateful. Please, come back to visit anytime. Your secret is safe with me. I give him a kind smile, and the others bid him well as the scrawny hunter gets back on his camel with a cheerful skip in his step, then rides away into the desert sun back to the village to share the good news. I turn back to our group, now realizing there is a third camel tied to a portion of rock on the far side of the cave we just left. I point to it and turn to Isaac. That your ride? He nods, slowly walking over to it as the four of us get on our two camels behind Ari. He makes his way over to us. Both Abby and I activate our earth magic to create shields for the sun over our heads, preparing for the long walk. I see his eyes go wide as he moves his camel through the middle of both of ours. But he doesn't say a word. The grunt knows to keep his mouth shut now. He may have sounded arrogant and hard-headed moments ago when we first met, but the second a business deal came up his true colors came out. Isaac seems to be a pretty smart guy, just down on his luck. He speaks up, waving a hand and pointing off to the north. All right, if we leave now, we may be able to make it there before the sun sets. It's a long trek. You're all ready. I check my storage to make sure I'm stocked up on food and water, then give him the go-ahead. All set. We'll take your lead. I turn to Abby as we get moving, now less than 3 meters to my left, and mutter under my breath. Watch the map. Make sure we're going in the right direction at all times. He knows better than to mess with us, but it never hurts to be cautious. She gives me a firm nod. We leave the rocky cave system just like that and head off to our next city. I hand out food and water to everyone and we share small talk on the way. Hours pass, but the desert terrain hardly changes at all. Rolling hills pass by on our sides with small yellow shrubbery begging for moisture. Rock structures occasionally peek out of the desert sand and white clouds float by through the blue sky. It's a beautiful day. We keep following Isaac straight into the blazing sun-scorched flats. It gets much hotter, but Maria's ice and my shade make it so this doesn't affect us at all. The small talk we share starts to become less frequent until we all settle into silence, just enjoying the rhythmic footsteps of the camel's feet on the hard sandy ground under the hot, dry sun. I have a lot of time to think about my position in the world. To be honest, I think back to a few days ago before leaving on this new mission. Even after days have passed, I'm still a bit shaken up by the floor boss fight in the Vice City Labyrinth. We've fought some strong monsters here, but none of them have come anywhere close to the immense levels of power that Beast possessed. It showed me what was possible. It forced me to push my limits and become much stronger myself. Battles like those are what give me the drive to keep pushing forward and create goals for myself to surpass. Although this mission to the Dark Continent is just getting started, and I've barely just recovered from another intense battle, I can't help but wonder what the toughest dungeon in this mysterious unofficial Section 4 capital Solara will be like. I grin, staring off into the rising and falling hills before me for hours on end, daydreaming of what adventurers are to come in the near future. Hours and hours pass, but the sun still shines bright in the sky. A range of red rocky mountains comes into view as I squint out into the horizon. Isaac speaks up. We've made it in record time as well. I sit up straight, straining my eyes to look ahead, but I'm missing what the fire user is pointing to. All I can see are a few medium-sized mountains off in the distance, and a small tight-colored tent about 500 meters away that we're approaching on our left side. There's at least a kilometer worth of flat open sand between the tent and the mountain bases. Isaac points over to the small structure. That's our way in. The western gate. His eyes go wide for a moment as he turns back at us, then begins digging through an item box around his waist. He pulls out handfuls of red-colored fabric, then throws it at us without a second thought. Put these on, all of you. Quick. I use appraisal to see their red robes similar to what the villagers were wearing back in the small town we left. The skin of the base-level salamander mobs is made into protective gear. It must have been a common drop before the break. Each of us catches one and does as he says. Then the grunt yells out again. And put away that earth magic. We need to blend in, not stand out. Sensing the seriousness of his tone, I nod and do as he says while turning to Abby to watch her do the same. We let the blazing sun shine down on us and walk forward on camelback. We get closer and closer to the small tent and I begin to see supplies underneath. There's a large green metal crate and a small wooden table along with a short old man walking over and waving us down. Isaac speaks up, hopping off his camel to shake the old man's hand, slipping him a few silver coins. I have another order to bring through, not the usual time of the month. I'm on special business this week. The old man smiles, accepting the bribe and throwing it behind his back while muttering words in a language I'm not familiar with. Then, Isaac nods, pointing off into the open desert before the mountains. Here we are. Welcome to Dry Rock. I feel the air shift as he says this, and the once barren desert changes in front of my eyes into a sight beyond what I ever expected to see.